Chapter 30:16. That's his true body. A middle-aged man cried out in shock after the old man was killed by the blood-eyed Ling Juyan, who had transformed into a sword. That person with blood-red eyes is only his clone. To be more precise, it's his profundity clone. The middle-aged man said. Based on his attack, it seems like he has comprehended the law of death, one of the four supreme laws. The other young man's eyes narrowed, and his face was filled with shock. As far as I know, among the profundities in the law of death, there's a profundity called the undead doppelganger. The undead clone profundity allows the person who has comprehended the profundity to have a body that's almost corporeal. Moreover, its defense and combat strength are not inferior to the original. At the same time, the clone can use the original's celestial weapon and other profundities that the original has comprehended. The main body can fight side by side with the doppelganger, or it can hide in the doppelganger and wait for an opportunity to launch a fatal blow at the most critical moment. When the young man reached the end of his sentence, the way he looked at the two Ling Juyan in the air changed completely. Swoosh! At the same time, under everyone's watchful eyes, the blood-eyed Ling Juyan disappeared into the body of the other Ling Juyan in just a blink of an eye. At the same time, the celestial origin energy surging from Ling Juyan's body vanished. The law of death. The law that Ling Juyan has comprehended is the law of death? Heavens! The law of death is one of the four supreme laws. It's not a law that can be comprehended through celestial methods or divine abilities. It requires fortuitous encounters or legacies. Among the laws in heaven and earth, comprehending the four supreme laws is the most demanding. Ling Juyan is not even 100 years old, but he has comprehended the law of death. Moreover, it's obvious that he has comprehended two profundities from the law of death. He's a monster among monsters. His innate talent is much higher than Duan Lingtian. After all, he has comprehended the law of death, one of the four supreme laws. Xue Jingyu and the others regained their senses at this time. They were also shocked by the strength displayed by Ling Juyan. None of them had expected Ling Juyan to possess such terrifying strength. He was even stronger than Duan Lingtian. Immediately, they looked at each other and saw bitter smiles on each other's faces. In the past, they felt that they were already considered rare geniuses. But now, in front of Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyan, they no longer dared to think that they were geniuses. They had been beaten black and blue. Duan Lingtian, less than 100 years old, comprehended two profundities of the laws of earth. Ling Juyan was not even 100 years old, but he had comprehended two profound meanings of the law of death. Whoosh! After killing the old man, Ling Juyan made his move to collect the last king-grade celestial weapon. Xue Jingyu and the others could only watch helplessly. They did not dare to stop him at all. They knew very well that they would definitely die if they made a move now. His cloak is a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon, right? Why would he need a king-grade celestial weapon if he has one? Xue Jingyu was puzzled. As soon as Xue Jingyu finished speaking, a young man standing nearby sneered. Let me ask you, if you have a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon, would you dare to use it? That's right. Since this is the Celestial Lord Temple, we won't remember anything that happened here. That's why he dares to use a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon. He knows no one will reveal the fact that he possesses a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon. That's right. This is the Celestial Lord Temple. If it weren't for the Celestial Lord Temple, I'm afraid he would have killed us. I don't think he dares to kill us. After all, if we die, he'll be able to leave the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm faster. After all, the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm will reopen after a certain number of people have died. That's right. Even those from the Celestial Lord Temple won't be able to stay in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm for long. Otherwise, they'll be trapped in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. It was obvious the others had figured out the reason why Ling Juyan dared to use a royal-grade celestial weapon here. They knew people like Ling Juyan and Duan Lingtian would not kill people here unless it was absolutely necessary. Now that both of them have obtained the rewards from the first trial in the Celestial Lord Temple, what should we do next? Xue Jingyu looked left and right. Apart from the 10 palaces, all he could see was the boundless darkness in the distance. The others began to look around, but they could not find a way to leave the southern heaven ancient realm. Let's wait. I think we'll have to wait for a while. All of them agreed. At this moment, Xue Jingyu and the others saw Ling Juyin descending from the sky and landing next to Duan Ling Tian, after obtaining the last king-grade celestial weapon. It's strange that they're able to coexist peacefully. Did they come to an agreement when they entered the palaces? That's possible. Based on my speculation, Duan Ling Tian must have discussed this with Ling Juyin before he left the royal-grade celestial weapon for Ling Juyin. That's what I think as well. Otherwise, with Duan Ling Tian's strength, he could have obtained the 3 royal-grade celestial weapons. Initially, I thought they'd fight it out. However, it seems like they won't be fighting for the time being. Xue Jingyu and the others looked at Duan Ling Tian and Ling Juyin. They were slightly disappointed when they saw the two of them coexisting peacefully. Just by standing there, the two of them were like 2 dark clouds that shrouded their hearts, causing them to feel somewhat gloomy. If I can leave them, I'll definitely stay away from them. What good will it do to us if they're here? I agree. I hope we can leave them. Otherwise, even if we manage to leave the southern heaven ancient realm alive, we won't be able to obtain anything in the Celestial Lord Temple. At this moment, Xue Jingyu and the others were looking forward to parting ways with Duan Ling Tian and Duan Ling Tian. After all, as long as they were here, they would not be able to obtain anything they wanted. After a while, seeing that there was still no movement, some people began to chat. Speaking of which, based on what I know, there are 7 peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who have comprehended 2 profundities from a law in the southern heaven ancient realm. A middle-aged man said, 7? So many? I only know 5 of them. Another young man chimed in. Time passed quickly as everyone was chatting. There's also Sima Chun, the genius from the Sima clan. He has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of wind. It's said that apart from the law of wind's fundamental profundity, the wind elemental profundity, he has also comprehended another profundity from the law of wind, the gale profundity. The gale profundity? One of the profundities from the law of wind that focuses on speed? Not only does the gale profundity increase one's attack speed, but it can also increase one's movement speed as well. The law of wind excels in one's speed and one's body as the wind. Sima Chun has comprehended the law of wind's gale profundity. Apart from those who have comprehended 3 profundities from the law of wind, it's almost impossible for them to defeat him, let alone kill him. Of course, Sima Chun has comprehended the law of wind's wind elemental profundity and the gale profundity. His speed is second to none among those who have entered the southern heaven ancient realm this time. If he can't defeat Sima Chun, he can always escape. If he's fast, he's invincible. In the beginning, Duan Ling Tian did not pay much attention to their conversation. However, when they mentioned Sima Chun, a strange expression appeared on his face. Sima Chun? If he's fast, he's invincible? What? Do you know Sima Chun? Ling Juyin asked curiously through voice transmission. He had been observing Duan Ling Tian for a long time. Naturally, he had noticed the changes in Duan Ling Tian's expression. Not really. We just happened to bump into each other before we entered the Celestial Lord Temple. Duan Ling Tian replied indifferently through voice transmission. Did they fight? Ling Juyin asked again. Duan Ling Tian nodded. He has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of wind. One of them is the gale profundity. I won't be able to kill him unless I use an emperor-grade celestial weapon or a divine weapon. Ling Juyin paused for a moment before he continued to ask. With his speed, it's almost impossible for you to kill him unless you use an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Is he dead? Ling Juyin asked again. Duan Ling Tian nodded again. You used an emperor-grade celestial weapon? Ling Juyin asked again. Duan Ling Tian shook his head again. Ling Juyin frowned when Duan Ling Tian said indifferently. Although I didn't use an emperor-grade celestial weapon, I did use a royal-grade celestial weapon. Even if you used an offensive royal-grade celestial weapon, it won't be easy for you to kill him, right? After all, based on the profundities from the law of earth that you've comprehended, speed isn't your forte. Ling Juyin hit the nail on the head. You're quite good at calculating. You even used a little trick. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. Ling Juyin had accurately predicted his battle with Sima Chun. Although he had used a royal-grade celestial weapon, he would not have been able to kill Sima Chun without the help of the gravitational space profundity. Although he had only comprehended a little bit of the gravitational space Upanishad, and was still a distance away from the entry level, it would not affect his overall strength much. However, at the critical moment, it could still play a role. Just like the battle between him and Sima Chun. Because of the little bit of gravitational space Upanishad, he killed Sima Chun. Otherwise, Sima Chun would have been able to escape. What little trick? Ling Juyin asked again. Before Duan Lingtian could respond, Ling Juyin felt the ground beneath his feet disappear. After a while, he felt as though he was standing on solid ground. Chapter 30:17. Duan Lingtian's vision flickered between darkness and light. His feet felt light and heavy. In the next moment, he discovered he had appeared on a spacious stone platform. In front of him was a divine pit that stretched as far as the eye could see. What's this place? Did we leave the first trial? Could this be the location of the second test set by the Celestial Lord Palace? When Duan Lingtian heard the commotion, he looked around and discovered that apart from Ling Juyin, Xue Jingyu, and the others, there were 8 more people in the surroundings. Duan Lingtian, Ling Juyin, Xue Jingyu, and the others turned to look at the 8 people. Among these 8 people, there was a middle-aged man, a young man, and a young woman. Her appearance was delicate and pretty, and her temperament was elegant. Although she could not be considered to be extremely beautiful, she had her own unique charm. That's Dongfang Jinluan. Xue Jingyu exclaimed in surprise when he saw a finely dressed young man among the 8 people. A hint of dread could be seen on his face. Dongfang Jinluan? Immediately, several people not far from Xue Jingyu followed Xue Jingyu's gaze and saw the young man in luxurious clothes. It's really Dongfang Jinluan. Dongfang Jinluan is the most outstanding genius in the Eastern Fang family in recent years. He's only slightly over 200 years old, but he has already comprehended 2 profundities from the Law of Thunder. Many people in Duan Lingtian's group recognized the finely dressed young man. Dongfang Jinluan? Duan Lingtian looked in the direction Xue Jingyu and the others were looking at, and saw the finely dressed young man. The finely dressed young man was tall, had a square face, thick eyebrows, and large eyes. He gave off a stern aura. He stood there like an iron tower, unmoving like a mountain. Although he heard Xue Jingyu and the others' exclamations, he remained indifferent. Dongfang Jinluan, a member of the Dongfang family, a rank 7 clan. He's a little over 200 years old, and has comprehended the fundamental profundity of the Law of Lightning, the Thunder Elemental Profundity, and the Lightning Profundity of the Law of Lightning. Previously, Xue Jingyu and the others had mentioned Dongfang Jinluan when they were talking about the people who had comprehended 2 profundities. For this reason, Duan Lingtian knew Duan Lingtian was a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, whose speed was on par with Sima Chun whom he had killed. In terms of speed, the lightning profound of the laws of lightning wasn't any slower than the gale profound of the laws of wind. In fact, it even had a bewitching property that the gale profound didn't have. It was a relatively powerful and practical profound of the laws of lightning. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xue Jingyu and the others descended from the sky and landed near where Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin were, obviously intending to approach Duan Lingtian and seek shelter. Compared to Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin, the 8 people were more threatening. That young woman looks familiar as well. A young man standing next to Xue Jingyu said with a frown, as he looked at the only woman among the 8 people. She's Oya from the Frost sect. Xue Jingyu said in a deep voice. As the most outstanding prince of the Southern Qi Nation's emperor, in the profound Nether Mansion's Thousand Nations territory, Xue Jingyu often accompanied the emperor of the Southern Qi Nation to visit various forces. Therefore, he was familiar with the geniuses in the profound Nether Mansion. Whether it was Dongfang Jinluan from the Dongfang family, or Oya from the Grade 8 Frost sect, Xue Jingyu had met both of them before. Naturally, they might not remember him even if he remembered them. Frost sect? Oh yeah. I've heard of Oya from the Frost sect. She's a rare female prodigy in the profound Nether Mansion. She's not even 200 years old, but she's already comprehended 2 profundities from the law of ice. In terms of innate talent, Oya is even more talented than Dongfang Jinluan. Only Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyan are stronger than her. The few people on Duan Lingtian's side shifted their attention from the young woman to Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyan. Oya? Duan Lingtian glanced at the young woman. He had heard about Oya from Xue Jingyu and the others. She was a female prodigy from the Grade 8 Frost sect. Although the Frost sect was only a Grade 8 sect, it was much stronger than ordinary Grade 8 forces. At the very least, none of the 1,000 Grade 8 celestial kingdoms in the Thousand Nations territory could compare to the Frost sect. The Guardian Celestial method of the Frost sect was a king-grade celestial method that allowed one to comprehend the law of ice's fundamental profundity, the ice elemental profundity, and the law of ice's frost profundity. The frost profundity, based on the name of the profundity, it should be able to freeze one's opponent. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Swoosh, swoosh. Not long after the 2 groups of people appeared, there was a sudden loud noise in front of them. It was like the sound of a flood breaking through a dam. That's... Duan Lingtian snapped out of his daze and looked ahead. He saw waves surging toward them from the distance. At this moment, Duan Lingtian finally saw clearly that the place he was standing at was similar to a riverbank. In the distance, waves of water swept over like a roaring water dragon. The momentum was terrifying. Moreover, with his divine consciousness, Duan Lingtian could tell the waves were no ordinary waves. The waves were filled with an extremely terrifying aura. That aura even gave him an extremely strong sense of danger. His soul was slightly throbbing because of this. It's the soul-extinguishing water. Huang, Er's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind. Once the soul-extinguishing water comes into contact with a person's body, it'll be able to destroy one's soul. Without a Duke-grade soul defense celestial weapon, those below the level of celestial dukes will definitely die in the face of the soul-extinguishing water. Huang said. Soul-extinguishing water? Duan Lingtian's eyes narrowed as he hurriedly soared into the air. This was because the soul-extinguishing water would soon hit the riverbank he was standing on. Of course, the soul-extinguishing water won't be able to hurt you. After all, your soul is protected by the profound divine metal outside your sea of consciousness. Upon hearing Huang's words, Duan Lingtian realized he had been overly anxious. As it turned out, he did not need to fear the soul-extinguishing water at all. Heavens! This is the soul-extinguishing water. The soul-extinguishing water can destroy one's soul. Those below the level of celestial dukes will definitely die if they touch it. So this is the second test of the Celestial Lord Temple. When Duan Lingtian soared into the sky, the others also regained their senses and soared into the sky as well. Some of them recognized the soul-extinguishing water, and some of them did not as well. As the first wave of soul-extinguishing water splashed onto the river bank, those who had just learned of the terror of the soul-extinguishing water all sucked in a breath of cold air. Look, there are boxes and chests on the soul-extinguishing water. A voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears, prompting him to look in the direction of the voice. With just a glance, he saw the boxes and chests floating on the soul-extinguishing water. However, due to the formation that had been set up above, he could not use his divine consciousness to probe the contents of the boxes and chests. Naturally, Duan Lingtian knew, if he could not probe the contents of the boxes and chests, the others would not be able to do so as well. After all, most of the people present were peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials like him whose divine consciousness was on par with his. These boxes and chests most likely contain treasures left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. Among the group of 8 not far away, a middle-aged man's eyes lit up. He was the first to descend from the air and approached the nearest box. The box was 5 feet long, so it could contain most celestial weapons. Naturally, the middle-aged man did not dare to be careless as he approached the box. His celestial origin energy, that had been boosted with the fundamental profundity of the law he had comprehended wrapped around his body. Apart from that, a faint blue silhouette of armor could be seen on his body. It was clear he was well prepared. He did not dare to be careless in front of the soul-extinguishing water. "This box is mine." In just a blink of an eye, the middle-aged man arrived above the box, hovering above the soul-extinguishing water. He only needed to reach out his hand to touch the box. Swoosh! The middle-aged man stretched out his hand and touched the box with lightning speed, intending to lift it up. However, the moment the middle-aged man's hand touched the box, a mysterious power suddenly extended from the surface of the box. Ripples of energy spread out in all directions. Swoosh! Swoosh! As the shockwave swept out, the soul-extinguishing water around the box seemed to have come to life. It rose up like angry dragons in the water, soaring into the sky. "It's heavy." As soon as the middle-aged man touched the box, he discovered it was extremely heavy. Even with all his might, he could only move the box at a very slow speed. Now the surrounding soul-extinguishing water rose into the air and interweaved into a net that enveloped him. His expression changed drastically. "No!" A shrill cry rang in the air as the middle-aged man's body was enveloped by the soul-extinguishing water. When the soul-extinguishing water receded, Duan Lingtian and the others saw the middle-aged man's body lying on top of the box. His eyes were filled with unwillingness, as though he had died with the remaining grievance. His vitality was rapidly dissipating, and his soul had been completely destroyed by the soul-extinguishing water earlier. How terrifying! The soul-extinguishing water destroyed his soul in just a blink of an eye. How terrifying! It's too terrifying. I was just about to make a move to collect the boxes earlier. Fortunately, he took the lead. Otherwise, I would have been the one who died. The remaining people felt a lingering fear when they saw the middle-aged man's death. Some of them were even glad they did not make a move first. You overestimate yourself. Chapter 30:18. As soon as Dongfang Jinluan finished speaking, the space around him trembled, and he disappeared from where he was standing. Everyone could only see a huge bolt of lightning streaking across the sky. It was none other than Dongfang Jinluan's body. It was the law of thunder, the lightning profundity. In order to use the lightning profundity, one had to have the thunder elemental profundity as a foundation. For this reason, Dongfang Jinluan had used the two profundities from the law of thunder that he had comprehended. Naturally, he had other tricks up his sleeve as well. Swoosh! Swoosh! Dongfang Jinluan's target was the box that the middle-aged man had his eyes on. When he made his move, the soul-extinguishing water stirred again. However, just as the soul-extinguishing water was about to descend on Dongfang Jinluan quickly moved away from the soul-extinguishing water, with the box and the middle-aged man's corpse. For this reason, the soul-extinguishing water missed its target. Bang! Dongfang Jinluan moved at lightning speed and returned at lightning speed. He easily retrieved the box and flipped it over. The middle-aged man's corpse fell into the soul-extinguishing water and was completely submerged by it. He's so fast. His speed. It seems like he's even faster than Sima Chun. Duan Lingtian looked at Dongfang Jinluan in shock. Dongfang Jinluan's speed was so fast that the soul-extinguishing water couldn't catch up to him. So it couldn't touch him and annihilate his soul. Smack! Under everyone's watchful eyes, Dongfang Jinluan raised his hand and slapped the box. The box opened, revealing its contents. When the box was opened, everyone, including Duan Lingtian, was stunned. Even Dongfang Jinluan had a slight frown on his face. The reason for that was because after the chest was opened, there was nothing inside. Upon seeing this, many people could vaguely guess what was going on. It seems like not all of the boxes in the soul-extinguishing water have something in them. However, despite knowing this, everyone's attention was still attracted by the boxes in the soul-extinguishing water. Some of the boxes might be empty, but there were definitely some that had something in them. Whoosh! Suddenly a gust of wind blew by. This wind brought with it a chilling coldness. Once it blew by, it gave people the feeling that winter had arrived. Oya has made a move. It was none other than Oya, the only female peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial present on the scene. Oya's body floated toward the soul-extinguishing water. In the blink of an eye, she was near a small box. Whoosh! Crash! When Oya approached the small box, the soul-extinguishing water surged up as usual and enveloped Oya. Seeing that Oya's slim figure was about to be submerged by the soul-extinguishing water, most of the people present couldn't help but gasp and stare at Oya with a solemn expression. In the blink of an eye, chi, 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 following a series of crisp sounds, before the crowd's gazes, the soul-extinguishing water that was about to envelop Oya actually froze and turned into ice. Bang! Oya held the small box in her hand as a layer of ice enveloped her body. She seemed to have transformed into an ice ball as she shot up into the air, shattering the soul-extinguishing water that had frozen into ice. When Oya returned to the void where she had been standing, the soul-extinguishing water that had turned into ice melted again. The surface of the soul-extinguishing water had also returned to normal. Amazing! She's too powerful. As expected of someone who has comprehended two profundities from the law of ice. She can even freeze the soul-extinguishing water. The freezing profundity from the law of ice is really terrifying. Many people present on the scene exclaimed in surprise when they saw Oya was unharmed and had obtained a small box. Most of them had only comprehended one profundity from a law. Moreover, they had only comprehended the fundamental profundity. They were not on the same level as those who had comprehended two profundities from the same law. Although the fundamental profundities were the foundation of a law, they were not as powerful and useful as the other profundities. It's empty as well. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Oya opened the small box that she had obtained and discovered that it was empty as well. Oya shook her head and smiled wryly. My luck isn't too good. That's a clone. At this moment, someone exclaimed in surprise. It came from Dongfang Jinluan, Oya, and the other 6 people. Dongfang Jinluan and Oya had lost one of their members, leaving them with only 7 people left. The sudden exclamation startled Dongfang Jinluan and Oya. Whoosh! In the next moment, they saw a young man with blood-red eyes descending from the sky. In just a blink of an eye, he had arrived near one of the boxes in the soul-extinguishing water. Swoosh! Swoosh! The soul-extinguishing water swept up and fell on the young man with blood-red eyes. However, it did not affect him in the slightest. The young man with blood-red eyes took the soul-extinguishing water head-on and stepped into the air with the box in his hand. In just a blink of an eye, he had left the area covered by the soul-extinguishing water. The young man with blood-red eyes was none other than the undead clone that Ling Juyin had comprehended from the law of death. He did not have a soul, only a physical body. Without a soul, the soul-extinguishing water was, naturally, ineffective against him. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Ling Juyin and his clone merged into one. However, the box remained in his hand. Smack! Ling Juyin opened the box to reveal a 4-foot-wide saber. Based on the saber's aura, it was not difficult to tell that it was a king-grade celestial weapon that had been nurtured by a celestial lord. It seems like I'm quite lucky. Ling Juyin looked at Duan Lingtian and said proudly, What do you think? Do you want to give it a try as well? In response to Ling Juyin's boasting, Duan Lingtian flew toward a small box that was floating above the soul-extinguishing water. This small box was one of the smallest boxes floating above the soul-extinguishing water. When Duan Lingtian approached the small box, the soul-extinguishing water surged again, trying to drown Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian did not dodge the soul-extinguishing water. Based on his actions, it was as though he was trying to emulate Ling Juyin's undead clone and take the soul-extinguishing water head-on. Upon seeing this, Ling Juyin could not help but frown. He only dared to take the soul-extinguishing water head-on with his clone. He did not dare to take the soul-extinguishing water head-on. For this reason, he was puzzled when he saw Duan Lingtian's action. Naturally, he did not think Duan Lingtian was courting death, because he knew that a person like Duan Lingtian would absolutely not do something as stupid as giving his life away. Is he crazy? Does he think he is Ling Juyin's undead clone? Taking the soul-extinguishing water head-on with his body? Isn't that just courting death? Duan Lingtian is crazy. Crazy. Shui Jingyu and the others were shocked by Duan Lingtian's intrepid behavior. They could not understand why Duan Lingtian would do such a thing. How could a body of flesh and blood be compared to an undead clone? Now, even if Duan Lingtian were to use defensive means, they would not be so shocked. However, the problem was Duan Lingtian did not even have the slightest intention of defending himself. It was obvious that he wanted to take the soul-extinguishing water head-on with his body of flesh and blood. Courting death. Dongfang Jinluan looked at Duan Lingtian with a mocking smile on his face. Meanwhile, Oya was also looking at Duan Lingtian. There was a hint of confusion in her eyes that were as clear as water. A woman's sixth sense was usually very accurate. Although the purple-clad young man in front of her seemed to be courting death, Oya's intuition told her that things were not that simple. Those who could enter the Celestial Lord Temple were not simple people. It was impossible for them to court death in such a stupid way. I've got it. As soon as Duan Lingtian took the box, he felt the soul-extinguishing water pouring on his head. It was cold to the touch, as though a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. It's coming. At the same time, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel a powerful destructive force entering his body the moment the soul-extinguishing water touched his body. It went straight for his sea of consciousness and targeted his soul. However, when the destructive force approached his sea of consciousness, it was blocked by the profound divine metal that was guarding it like a guardian. A golden light screen extended from the profound divine metal and blocked the destructive force of the soul-extinguishing water, preventing it from entering Duan Lingtian's sea of consciousness. Since it could not enter Duan Lingtian's sea of consciousness, it was only natural that it could not destroy his soul. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Duan Lingtian endured the soul-extinguishing water with his body. Then, he rose into the air and returned to his original spot. Heavens! What's going on? He didn't die. Many people exclaimed in shock. This purple-clad young man must have a soul defense celestial weapon above the Duke grade. As far as I know, as long as it's a soul defense celestial weapon above the Duke grade, it'll be able to withstand the soul-extinguishing water. Some people who were more knowledgeable figured this out. A soul defense celestial weapon above the Duke grade? Among all celestial weapons, soul defense celestial weapons are the rarest. A soul defense Duke grade celestial weapon is worth more than a pure defense king grade celestial weapon. If he has such a celestial weapon, it's not surprising that he can withstand the soul-extinguishing water with his body. Since he has a soul defense celestial weapon above the Duke grade, the Celestial Lord Temple is obviously giving him a treasure. Shui Jingyu and the others who knew about Duan Lingtian's strength were not affected. On the other hand, Dongfang Jinluan and the others looked at Duan Lingtian enviously. It was as though they could not wait to snatch the soul defense celestial weapon from Duan Lingtian. Brat, do you have a soul defense celestial weapon above the Duke grade? Dongfang Jinluan asked in a deep voice as he stared at Duan Lingtian coldly. Chapter 30:19. Although the value of a soul defense Duke grade celestial weapon was comparable to a purely defensive king grade celestial weapon, most people would not trade it for a purely defensive king grade celestial weapon. In fact, even if a purely defensive king grade celestial weapon had been nurtured by a celestial lord, those who owned a soul defense Duke grade celestial weapon would not trade it for a purely defensive king grade celestial weapon. This was because soul defense Duke grade celestial weapons were extremely rare. Not only was it difficult to refine them, but the materials required were also extremely rare. A soul defense Duke grade celestial weapon could withstand any soul attack from a celestial Duke or below. It could even withstand soul attacks from a celestial Duke or below that contained profundities from a law. Naturally, it could only withstand the soul attack from a celestial Duke who had not comprehended any profundities from a law. If it was a celestial Duke who had comprehended a profundity from a law, even a one basic celestial Duke would not be able to withstand it. The power of the soul-extinguishing water was comparable to the soul attack from a celestial Duke who had not comprehended any profundity from a law. For this reason, a soul defense Duke grade celestial weapon was more valuable than a purely defensive king-grade celestial weapon that had been nurtured by a celestial lord. Lad, you have a soul defense celestial weapon that's at the Duke grade or above. Dongfang Jinluan stared at Duan Lingtian greedily. Everyone could see that Dongfang Jinluan was interested in Duan Lingtian's soul defense celestial weapon. What? Do you want it? Duan Lingtian asked indifferently as he stared at Dongfang Jinluan. Hand over your soul defense celestial weapon, and not only will I spare your life, but I'll also guarantee your safety in leaving the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Dongfang Jinluan said. Dongfang Jinluan did not think the purple-clad young man in front of him was a threat to him. Even if the purple-clad young man had comprehended two profundities from a law like him, he would not be afraid. A soul defense celestial weapon is indeed valuable, but it's not as valuable as your life, Dongfang Jinluan said. Dongfang Jinluan said again, his eyes flashing with killing intent. That's right. Right. Duan Lingtian nodded solemnly. Not to mention a soul defense type immortal artifact. No matter how precious it is, it's only a worldly possession. It's not as precious as one's own life. Since you know this, quickly hand over your soul defense celestial artifact. If I make a move, you won't be able to regret it. Dongfang Jinluan sneered. In Dongfang Jinluan's opinion, he could easily kill the purple-clad young man and seize his soul defensive celestial artifact. However, if possible, he didn't want to kill too many people in the immortal sovereign palace. Who knew if his journey in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm would end after he killed the purple-clad young man? After all, if 70% of the people who entered the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm died, the trip to the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm would come to an end. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not want to kill anyone in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm as soon as possible. He wanted to find more fortuitous encounters in the Celestial Lord Temple. In Dongfang Jinluan's eyes, even if this purple-clothed youth had other things on him, he wouldn't be too interested. After all, he didn't lack those things. He was only interested in soul defense type immortal artifacts. Is that so? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes and smiled faintly. I'd like to see how you're going to make me regret it. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, with just a thought, energy that had been dormant for a long time began to awaken in his body. Since you're seeking death, I'll fulfill your wish. Dongfang Jinluan did not expect the purple-clad young man to be so foolish. His expression darkened as his celestial origin energy surged out of his body. Boom! In the next moment, a saber appeared in Dongfang Jinluan's hand as he charged toward Duan Lingtian at lightning speed. At this moment, Dongfang Jinluan seemed to have become one with the celestial saber in his hand. Although Dongfang Jinluan did not think the purple-clad young man was a match for him, he still went all out when he attacked. When the crowd saw Dongfang Jinluan trying to kill Duan Lingtian without saying a word, their hearts were in their mouths. At this moment, a seven-colored sword ray appeared where Duan Lingtian was standing. Among the 7 colors red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple, the purple was particularly bright. Apart from that, there was also a golden light and an earthy yellow light. Whoosh! A short-lived sword whistle sounded. It was extremely ear-piercing, and it even caused the group of people present to involuntarily shiver, even though the rainbow sword light was not aimed at them. At the same time, the crowd was shocked to see Dongfang Jinluan, who had transformed into a gigantic bolt of lightning, was pierced between his brows by the 7-colored sword ray when he was about to reach Duan Lingtian. Wherever the rainbow-colored sword light passed, the void remained calm, as if it was walking on snow without leaving a trace. When it came into contact with the lightning formed by Dongfang Jinluan's one with the saber, it easily broke through it, as if it did not encounter any resistance. Spurt! A stream of blood spurted out from Dongfang Jinluan's forehead. Following that, the lightning energy around him dissipated. Dongfang Jinluan's eyes were wide open as his body flew toward Duan Lingtian, due to inertia. Duan Lingtian raised his hand and sent Dongfang Jinluan's body flying with a palm seal. At the same time, an invisible energy swept out and retrieved Dongfang Jinluan's celestial saber, spatial ring, and purely defensive king-grade celestial weapon. Splash! It was not until Dongfang Jinluan's body fell into the soul-extinguishing water that everyone finally regained their senses. At this moment, apart from Ling Juyin, the others, including the Frost Sex genius disciple, Oya, were staring at Duan Lingtian in shock. That sword. Oya looked at the seven-colored sword ray that had returned to Duan Lingtian's hand with a hint of shock in her eyes. Apart from the celestial methods and divine abilities that are below the king grade, the earth elemental profundity is the earth elemental profundity. He must have relied on that sword to kill Dongfang Jinluan. That sword. Is it a royal grade celestial weapon? No. Even if it's a royal grade celestial weapon, with Dongfang Jinluan's speed and reflexes, he should have been able to dodge it. That's an emperor grade celestial weapon. Oya's eyes narrowed when she saw the seven-colored light sword transforming into a ray of seven-colored light that entered Duan Lingtian's palm and fused into Duan Lingtian's body. As far as she knew, it was impossible for a royal-grade celestial weapon to merge with one's body in such a manner. Only an emperor-grade celestial weapon could do that. This is. When Oya saw the seven-colored light sword fusing with Duan Lingtian's body, the others present on the scene also saw it. At once, several people who knew what this meant felt their scalps go numb. Heavens! What did they just see? The weapon Duan Lingtian had used to kill Dongfang Jinluan had merged with his body, as though it was a part of him. What's going on? The sword has merged with Duan Lingtian's body? What weapon is that? Is it a royal-grade celestial weapon? I've never seen anyone who can merge a weapon like that. How did it merge with his body? Did Duan Lingtian create a little world in his body? What a joke! Duan Lingtian is only an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It's impossible for him to create a little world without becoming a celestial duke. What's going on then? Most of the onlookers were shocked that Duan Lingtian was able to merge the seven-colored sword ray into his body, but they did not know what it meant. Although a celestial duke can create a little world, it's impossible for him to store his celestial weapon in it. After all, it's more troublesome to take a celestial weapon out of a little world than to take a celestial weapon out of a spatial ring. A middle-aged man looked at Duan Lingtian in shock before he said in a deep voice, Duan Lingtian is an overarching heavenly supreme celestial. It's impossible for him to create a little world to store his celestial weapon. Based on what I know, there's another type of celestial weapon that can merge with one's body. It's an emperor-grade celestial weapon. When the middle-aged man reached the end of his sentence, not only did his voice become louder, it also began to tremble violently. An emperor-grade celestial weapon. When Xue Jingyu and the others who did not know the characteristics of emperor-grade celestial weapons heard the middle-aged man's words, they were dumbfounded. At the same time, they could not help but tremble in fear. An emperor-grade celestial weapon? Even the 3 sects and 2 clans that they were planning to join did not have a royal-grade celestial weapon in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Emperor-grade celestial weapons were superior to royal-grade celestial weapons. There were only a handful of emperor-grade celestial weapons in the Southern Heaven territory. However, one of them had appeared in Duan Lingtian's hands. Who's this Duan Lingtian? Xue Jingyu, who had fought with Duan Lingtian before, regained his senses. He was shocked when he looked at Duan Lingtian again. An overarching heavenly supreme celestial possessed an emperor-grade celestial weapon. In the past, if someone had told him this, he would not have believed it even if he was beaten to death. Even the descendants of the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord, who ruled the Southern Heaven territory, did not possess an emperor-grade celestial weapon when they were only overarching heavenly supreme celestials. Who's this Duan Lingtian? Why does he have an emperor-grade celestial weapon? Is this a joke? An emperor-grade celestial weapon? I didn't expect to see an emperor-grade celestial weapon in my lifetime. Meanwhile, the others regained their senses and looked at Duan Lingtian in disbelief. Don't tell me he found his emperor-grade celestial weapon in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm? A young man speculated. However, his words were quickly refuted by the others. You're thinking too much. It's impossible for an emperor-grade celestial weapon to appear in the middle and upper realms of the southern heaven ancient realm, let alone the lower realm. Chapter 30:20. An emperor-grade celestial weapon? A hint of disdain flashed on Ling Juyan's cold face when he heard everyone's words. Earlier, Duan Lingtian did not use an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Instead, it was a Devata artifact. Moreover, it was one of the highest-grade Devata artifacts. A prominent Devata artifact. Unfortunately, our memories of the Celestial Lord Temple will be erased after we leave this place. We won't be able to bring Duan Lingtian's emperor-grade celestial weapon out with us. You can imagine how much of an uproar the profound Nether Mansion and the Southern Heaven territory will be when news of the emperor-grade celestial weapon spreads. Have you ever thought about the possibility of Duan Lingtian taking out an emperor-grade celestial weapon so easily if we can bring the memories of the Celestial Lord Temple out with us? Regardless of his background, he'll definitely become a target for many powerhouses if news of him possessing an emperor-grade celestial weapon spreads. Many powerhouses will risk their lives to kill him for the emperor-grade celestial weapon. You can't say that. Based on the situation earlier, I don't think Duan Lingtian would be able to withstand Dongfang Jinluan's attack unless he uses an emperor-grade celestial weapon, right? Most of the people on Oya's side said these words. Their words were quickly refuted by Xue Jingyu and the others from Duan Lingtian's side. Duan Lingtian isn't afraid of Dongfang Jinluan, even if he doesn't use an emperor-grade celestial weapon. That's right. Although Dongfang Jinluan has comprehended 2 profundities from the Law of Thunder and is very strong, it's almost impossible for him to kill Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian has also comprehended 2 profundities from the Law of Earth. One of them is a defensive profundity from the Law of Earth. Dongfang Jinluan might be strong, but he might not be able to break through Duan Lingtian's defenses. Moreover, Duan Lingtian isn't as fast as Dongfang Jinluan. Even if Duan Lingtian doesn't use his emperor-grade celestial weapon, he'll be able to tie with Dongfang Jinluan. In my opinion, Duan Lingtian only took out his emperor-grade celestial weapon to kill Dongfang Jinluan. If it weren't for that, he wouldn't have needed to use his emperor-grade celestial weapon to fight Dongfang Jinluan to a draw. No one knew Duan Lingtian's strength better than Xue Jingyu and the others. As soon as Oya and the others heard the words of Xue Jingyu and the others, they were in an uproar again. Duan Lingtian has comprehended 2 profundities from the Law of Earth? At this time they have no reason to deceive us. From the looks of it, they don't seem to be speaking without thinking. But this Duan Lingtian seems to be less than 100 years old, right? He's not even 100 years old, but he's already comprehended 2 profundities of the Law of Earth. This level of comprehension ability is simply monstrous. Terrifying. It's too terrifying. The 6 people around Oya exclaimed in surprise. When Oya looked at Duan Lingtian again, a hint of dread could be seen in her eyes. Not even 100 years old. Xue Jingyu chuckled. Earlier, all of you must have seen the technique of our opponent, right? He cast the undead clone profundity from the Law of Death, one of the 4 supreme laws. Moreover, he's also not even 100 years old. Upon hearing Xue Jingyu's words, Ling Juyan instantly became the center of attention for Oya and the others. The undead clone profundity? At this moment realization dawned on them. Before Duan Lingtian made his move, Duan Lingtian had already retrieved a celestial saber from one of the boxes. Since Duan Lingtian had made his move, they had completely forgotten about Duan Lingtian. Now that they thought about it, it seemed like Duan Lingtian had used the undead clone profundity. As it turns out, his undead clone profundity is the undead clone profundity. He has comprehended the Law of Death. The Law of Death is one of the 4 supreme laws. It's not comprehended through celestial methods or divine abilities. It's either inherited from a legacy, fortuitous encounter, or fortuitous encounter. As expected, he's not even 100 years old. To comprehend the undead clone profundity, one must first comprehend the elemental death profundity. In other words, he has comprehended at least 2 profundities from the Law of Death. How can there be 2 such monstrous geniuses in the profound Nether Mansion? When Oya and the others regained their senses, They recalled Ling Jueyan's earlier attack. When they looked at Ling Jueyan again, a hint of dread could be seen in their eyes. It's empty. Everyone's attention was on Ling Jueyan when Duan Lingtian opened the small box in his hand. It seems like you're not as lucky as me, Ling Jueyan said with a smile on his face. Duan Lingtian ignored Ling Jueyan and continued to collect boxes and boxes. No one dared to interfere as he continued to collect boxes and boxes. Even Oya did not dare to compete with Duan Lingtian for the boxes and boxes. If Duan Lingtian became enraged and swung his sword at her, she would end up like Dongfang Jinluan. However, there were some people who were not afraid of Duan Lingtian. That person was none other than Ling Jueyan. While Duan Lingtian was collecting the boxes and boxes in the soul-extinguishing water, Ling Jueyan joined in as well. Although the others were envious of Duan Lingtian, they knew they could only be envious. Apart from Oya, none of them were capable of obtaining the boxes and boxes, even if they wanted to. Although Oya was strong, she did not dare to act recklessly, since she was wary of the sword Duan Lingtian had fused with his body. She thought it was an emperor-grade celestial weapon. About 15 minutes later, Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyan finished collecting all the boxes and boxes in the soul-extinguishing water. Naturally, most of the boxes and boxes were empty. In the end, Duan Lingtian obtained 5 king-grade celestial weapons, 3 pill bottles, and 6 celestial talismans. Ling Jueyan obtained 6 king-grade celestial weapons, 2 pill bottles, and 3 celestial talismans. Swoosh, swoosh. After all the boxes and boxes were collected by Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyan, the soul-extinguishing water began to boil again. In just a blink of an eye, the boiling soul-extinguishing water beneath Duan Lingtian and the other's feet receded as though it had never existed. If it were not for the 2 corpses on the ground, they would have thought that everything that had happened was just a dream. After the soul-extinguishing water receded from their sight, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the air around them trembling. In the next moment, a mysterious and gentle force swept over from all directions, and its target was him and the others. We're going to change locations. Although the energy that swept towards them was majestic and vast, everyone was certain that this energy did not have any ill intentions. It was more like a force that was leading them somewhere. In fact, it was indeed so. When the energy that swept over from all directions neared Duan Lingtian and the others, it gathered together and seemed to have transformed into a swift boat that brought Duan Lingtian and the others into the depths of the darkness ahead. Congratulations on passing the second test in the Celestial Lord Temple. The place you're heading to will be your last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple. While Duan Lingtian and the others were being transported to the depths of the darkness, the voice that seemed to have been left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord rang in everyone's ears again. The last stop? Is it going to end so soon? Where's the last stop? Don't tell me we're going to end up in the same place again. Based on the situation, it seems like we won't be able to reap any benefits. It's impossible for us to reap any benefits under the watchful eyes of monstrous geniuses like Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyan. Everyone, including Oya, smiled wryly when they found out they were going to the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple as a group. At the center of Scaling Cloud Lake, outside the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, Jinluan, a mournful cry rang out. It was a middle-aged man in a green robe. His expression changed drastically, revealing pain and disbelief. At this moment, a name that was at the top of the scoreboard suddenly disappeared. It's the second master of the Eastern Fang clan. Dongfang Jinluan's name has disappeared. Dongfang Jinluan is the most outstanding son of the second master of the Eastern Fang clan. He's also a monstrous genius in the Eastern Fang clan. How did he die? Rumor has it that Dongfang Jinluan has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of thunder. Apart from the thunder elemental profundity, he has also comprehended the law of thunder's lightning profundity. The lightning profundity is one of the most practical profundities from the law of thunder. It's mainly used for speed and offense. Even someone as strong as Dongfang Jinluan died in there. Who's strong enough to kill him? An uproar broke out in the sky above the center of Scaling Cloud Lake when the news of Dongfang Jinluan's death spread. This is the second person who has comprehended two profundities from the law of thunder to die. The first one was Sima Chun from the Sima clan. Now it's Dongfang Jinluan from the Eastern Fang clan. Is there a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial who has entered the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, who has comprehended three profundities from the same law? It's possible. Otherwise, why would Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan die? Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan's deaths caused the air above the center of Scaling Cloud Lake to turn heavy. Many people shifted their attention to the scoreboard. There was not much difference between the points of those at the top of the scoreboard. Murong Xiaoxiao was ranked first on the scoreboard. Duan Lingtian was ranked second on the scoreboard. Ling Juyin was ranked third on the scoreboard. Although Duan Lingtian has gained some points, he's still ranked second on the scoreboard. Murong Xiaoxiao seems to be the most outstanding genius in the Murong clan in the past 10,000 years. Moreover, she's a woman. Hu Lin-yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, exclaimed excitedly as he looked at the scoreboard. As long as Duan Lingtian maintained the scoreboard, he would be rewarded handsomely by the three sects and two clans after his trip to the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm was over. However, Ling Juyin is only a few points away from catching up to him. Chapter 30:21. At this moment, Hu Lini was unaware of this. The reason Duan Lingtian was ranked second was due to the protective mechanism of the scoreboard to prevent those who obtained a large number of points from being in the limelight. Currently, the points he obtained from Dongfang Jinluan had yet to be fully revealed. Once they were fully revealed, he would be ranked first on the scoreboard. The supporting Fall Nation and the East Ming Nation are really lucky to find such outstanding sectless cultivators. Some of the emperors from Grade 8 celestial kingdoms in the Thousand Nations territory knew that Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin were from the supporting Fall Nation and the East Ming Nation. Their eyes were filled with envy as they looked at the emperors of the supporting Fall Nation and the East Ming Nation. Meanwhile, at the place where the people from the three sects and two clans were gathered, Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin, who are ranked second and third, seemed to be younger than 100 years old. The leader of the Zhangsun clan, Zhangsun Xiongqi, looked at the two names that were ranked second and third on the scoreboard and sighed. Moreover, they are both from the 8-ranked celestial kingdoms of the Thousand Lands. It is said that they are all loose cultivators. Even if Ling Juyin has comprehended the law of death, it's highly likely that he has comprehended two profundities from the law of death. Gong Yongyu, the leader of the Zhangsun clan, said with a hint of conviction in his eyes. Ling Juyin and Duan Lingtian seem to be younger than 100 years old as well. Elder Gong Yang, I'm sure Duan Lingtian has comprehended two profundities from the law of death as well. Heng Chan, the leader of the Cloud Platform Celestial Sex Group, said. Both of them are monstrous geniuses. Moreover, Murong Xiaoxiao is the strongest genius in the Murong clan in the past 10,000 years. Moreover, she's a woman. Zhang Guangzheng, one of the vice sect leaders of the Simplicity Celestial sect, paused for a moment before he looked at Heng Chan and said, Heng Chan, Murong Xiaoxiao is a woman. She's destined not to join the Cloud Platform Celestial sect. Humph. Heng Chan snorted coldly. The Yuntai Celestial sect only accepted male disciples. No matter how talented Murong Xiaoxiao was, it was impossible for him to accept her into the sect. However, when Heng Chan's eyes fell on the names of Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin, his eyes lit up. His target was these two people. Even if the two of them were not as strong as Murong Xiaoxiao, their talents far surpassed Murong Xiaoxiao. This was because Murong Xiaoxiao was almost 200 years old, and these two people were not even 100 years old. Bihai Mifeng, the third sect leader of the Coupling Celestial sect, was the only one among the leaders of the three sects and two clans who remained silent. Even though he did not say anything, his eyes were fixed on the top three names on the scoreboard. The lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, Duan Lingtian, and the others were brought into an abyss-like canyon by the mysterious force that appeared out of nowhere. Only when they reached the abyss of the canyon did the power that enveloped them completely dissipate. This canyon. Duan Ling Tian narrowed his eyes and looked at the canyon that was as deep as an abyss. There was a stone platform hovering in the air above the canyon that was as deep as the abyss. These stone platforms were very small. They could only accommodate one person sitting cross-legged at most. Moreover, the higher the platform, the fewer the number of stone platforms. At this moment, Duan Ling Tian and the others were in the deepest part of the abyss of the canyon. They had come from one of the directions in the abyss of the canyon. At this moment, all they could see was darkness. It was as though they could not see the end of it. Apart from that, Duan Ling Tian saw two other places that were also shrouded in darkness. Someone's here. There's someone there as well. When Duan Ling Tian regained his senses, he saw a group of people had appeared in two other dark places in the depths of the abyss. When these two groups of people appeared in front of him, it was not difficult for Duan Ling Tian to see that they had also been brought here by a force similar to the one that had brought them here before. Moreover, they should be the remaining people who had entered the Celestial Emperor Temple. Sister Oya. A soft and pleasant voice came from one of the groups of people. Following that, a slender green figure appeared in the air. In just a blink of an eye, she arrived at the place where Duan Ling Tian and the others were standing. It was none other than Oya, the genius disciple of the Frost sect. Sister Morong. When Oya saw the newcomer, a rare smile appeared on her calm face. The newcomer was a graceful woman. Her appearance was even more beautiful than Oya's. She had a valiant temperament and gave people the impression that she was not inferior to men. Morong Xiaoxiao, Xuejingyu, who was not far from Duan Ling Tian, saw the newcomer. His pupils shrank as he cried out involuntarily. Morong Xiaoxiao. Upon hearing Xuejingyu's words, Duan Ling Tian looked at the green-clad woman in surprise. She's Morong Xiaoxiao. Morong Xiaoxiao was a genius disciple of the grade 7 Morong clan. She was almost 200 years old and had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of water. Rumor had it that she had come into contact with the 3rd profundity from the law of water and had comprehended a superficial level of it. For example, Duan Ling Tian had comprehended a superficial level of the law of Earth's gravitational space profundity. Although it was not a great help, it was still helpful. It was not a great help at a critical moment, but it was just right. Duan Ling Tian had used a royal-grade celestial weapon to kill Sima Chun. However, if he had not comprehended a superficial level of the gravitational space profundity, he might not have been able to kill Sima Chun. Oya flew toward Morong Xiaoxiao and greeted her. Based on their familiarity, it was not difficult for the onlookers to see that they were close. In fact, the two of them were not only close, but they could be considered best friends. Women were at a disadvantage when it came to cultivation. There were only a handful of women in the profound nether mansion who were as talented as Morong Xiaoxiao and Oya. For this reason, they appreciated each other and became best friends. Sister Oya, you must have had a good harvest, right? Morong Xiaoxiao asked with a smile. Oya smiled wryly when she heard Morong Xiaoxiao's words. She turned to look at Duan Ling Tian. If it were not for Duan Ling Tian, she would have had a good harvest. However, Duan Ling Tian had used an emperor-grade celestial weapon to kill Dongfang Jin Luan during the second test in the Celestial Lord Temple. Due to this, she did not dare to compete with him for the treasures in the soul-extinguishing water. What's wrong? Morong Xiaoxiao saw the wry smile on Oya's face as she looked at the purple-clad young man. Nothing. Oya shook her head. Then, she looked at Morong Xiaoxiao and asked, Sister Morong, you must have had a good harvest, right? It's all right. Morong Xiaoxiao nodded. Based on the bright smile on Oya's face, it was not difficult to tell that she had had a good harvest. Sister Oya, something must have happened to you. What happened? Is there something wrong with that person? Based on Morong Xiaoxiao's understanding of Oya, it was not difficult for her to tell that something had happened to her. Oya sighed when she heard Morong Xiaoxiao's question. Then, she sent a voice transmission to Morong Xiaoxiao and told her what had happened. Morong Xiaoxiao was dumbfounded when she heard Oya's voice transmission. A peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, who was not even 100 years old, had comprehended two profundities from the law of earth. Morong Xiaoxiao's innate talent made her feel ashamed. However, that was not all. Not only did he possess an emperor-grade celestial weapon, but he had even used it to kill Dongfang Jinluan. Naturally, Oya knew who Dongfang Jinluan was. In fact, Dongfang Jinluan had once pursued her. For this reason, she knew Dongfang Jinluan well. Although she was confident she could defeat Dongfang Jinluan, it was impossible for her to kill Dongfang Jinluan with just one move. After sucking in a breath of cold air, Morong Xiaoxiao finally regained her senses. Naturally, she did not doubt Oya's words. "Sister Oya, can you introduce me to him?" Morong Xiaoxiao asked as she looked at Oya. Then, she shifted her gaze to Duan Lingtian, who was standing behind Oya. "Sister Morong, I don't know him. I haven't even spoken to him before." Oya smiled bitterly. "You're so thin-skinned. After he killed Dongfang Jinluan, you could have just gotten to know him. Be a little more polite and humble. After that, even if you took out a few boxes and boxes, as a man, he definitely wouldn't argue with you." Morong Xiaoxiao shook her head. Duan Lingtian was standing in the distance, observing the abyss as he tried to figure out the reason the Celestial Lord Temple was built here. All of a sudden, he felt two pairs of eyes looking at him from afar. Moreover, the owners of the eyes were walking toward him in the air. At this moment, the two people walking toward Duan Lingtian were none other than Morong Xiaoxiao and Oya. "Hello, I'm Morong Xiaoxiao. I'm from the 7th grade Morong clan." Morong Xiaoxiao and Oya stood side by side and greeted Duan Lingtian with a smile on their faces. It was as though they did not know what it meant to be presumptuous. As the saying went, one should never hit a smiling person. Duan Lingtian's expression did not change when he heard Morong Xiaoxiao's greeting. He merely nodded indifferently and did not say anything. Although this was his first time meeting Morong Xiaoxiao, it was not difficult for him to tell this woman was not simple based on the way she greeted him. "I've already introduced myself. Aren't you going to introduce yourself as well?" Morong Xiaoxiao ignored Duan Lingtian's indifference. The smile on her face widened. "Duan Lingtian." Duan Lingtian's tone was indifferent. Morong Xiaoxiao was looking for various topics to chat with Duan Lingtian, and Duan Lingtian was getting impatient. "Who's this brat?" A black-clothed young man in another group of people in the distance saw this scene, and his face turned gloomy. He had pursued Morong Xiaoxiao for many years, but he had not made any progress. Moreover, she usually ignored him. However, not only did Morong Xiaoxiao take the initiative to strike up a conversation with a man, but she was also clinging to him like a dogskin plaster. How could he tolerate this? He seems to be someone who came with Oya. Perhaps it's because he knows Oya that Morong Xiaoxiao is so enthusiastic about him. Chapter 30:22. Brother Yuan, this purple-clothed kid doesn't seem to be 100 years old. The green-clad young man extended his divine consciousness slightly and discovered that the purple-clad young man standing in the distance was less than 100 years old. At this moment, the purple-clad young man was impatiently dealing with their goddess, Morong Xiaoxiao. Even though he knew that it was impossible for him and Morong Xiaoxiao to be together, seeing the purple-clothed young man like this, he was still very unhappy. Less than 100 years old. Hearing the words of the green-clothed youth, the black-clothed youth also extended his divine sense. After a moment, he confirmed that the purple-clothed youth was indeed less than 100 years old. A peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, who was not even 100 years old, was considered lucky to have made it this far. He didn't think that Morong Xiaoxiao's enthusiasm for this boy, who was less than 100 years old, was because of his strength. He thought it was because of Oya. But even if it's because of Oya, that brat actually dared to brush off Xiaoxiao's enthusiasm with such a perfunctory attitude. Unforgivable. The black-clothed young man's gaze towards Duan Lingtian suddenly surged with waves of fierce cold light, as if he was about to devour Duan Lingtian. Of course, if one looked closely, they would be able to see that there was more jealousy in the depths of his eyes. He was so jealous that it seemed like he was about to spit fire. As soon as the two divine senses approached one another, Duan Lingtian was aware of it, and now he happened to see the jealous eyes of the black-clothed youth. Who is this person? I don't think I know him. Duan Lingtian frowned slightly. However, when he saw the other party looking at Morong Xiao Xiao from time to time, realization dawned on him. So that's how it is. Looks like a femme fatale. Just as Duan Lingtian had this thought, Morong Xiao Xiao continued to chat with Duan Lingtian. Boom! Rumble! A series of thunderous booms suddenly sounded from the top of the canyon. It was earth-shattering, and it immediately attracted the attention of everyone in the depths of the canyon. Duan Lingtian was the first to look up at the sky above the canyon. The originally clear blue sky had turned murky at this moment, and within that murkiness, there was a flow of grayish air circulating. The outer circle moved in a clockwise direction. The inner circle revolved counterclockwise. At the same time, the voice of the southern heaven celestial lord echoed again. The celestial lord temple is the last stop. You can try to comprehend the law of time by visualizing the profundity of the law of time that I left behind through the array formation. I've named this canyon the Time Canyon. As long as you sit on the stone platform inside, you'll be able to comprehend the profundities of the laws of time that I've left behind. The higher the stone platform, the higher the chances of comprehending the profundity of the law of time. Of course, this only applies to those with similar comprehension abilities. If your comprehension ability is high enough, you'll be able to comprehend the profundity from the law of time, even if you're sitting on a stone platform that isn't too high. However, if your comprehension ability is high enough, the higher the stone platform, the higher the chances of you comprehending the profundity from the law of time. As for the time you can meditate on the profundity, it'll be before the exit of the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm opens. Once the exit to the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm is opened, all of you will be sent out immediately. His voice abruptly stopped here. Profundity of the laws of time? One can meditate on the profundity of the law of time left behind by the southern heaven celestial lord while sitting on the stone platforms? I've heard of people who managed to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, the time elemental profundity, after coming out from the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. Although no one has fully comprehended the time elemental profundity, it's still shocking enough. After all, the law of time is the most mysterious and peculiar law among the four supreme laws. Those people don't remember if they came into contact with the law of time in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. It seems like they came into contact with the law of time in the celestial lord temple. For this reason, they couldn't bring their memories of the celestial lord temple out with them. At this moment, 3 groups of people had gathered in the depths of the canyon. Everyone was shocked when they heard the voice that sounded like the southern heaven celestial lord's voice. The law of time? Ling Zhuyun's eyes lit up, and he immediately looked at the stone platform at the highest point of the canyon. The stone platform was floating alone in the air, and it looked like a crane in a flock of chickens. It was the best stone platform in the canyon to meditate on the law of time. While Ling Jueyan was looking at the stone platform, many people were looking at it as well. Apart from a few people who had comprehended 2 profundities from the same law, the rest of the people were just watching. The law of time. At this moment, Morong Xiao Xiao stopped chatting with Duan Lingtian. Her eyes were trained on the highest stone platform in the canyon. A hint of anticipation could be seen on her face. However, in just a blink of an eye, she seemed to have recalled something. She quickly shifted her gaze to Duan Lingtian, who was standing in front of her. As the saying goes, ladies first. Duan Lingtian, you won't compete with me for the highest stone platform, right? If it were not for Duan Lingtian, Morong Xiao Xiao would have been determined to obtain the highest stone platform in the canyon. However, with Duan Lingtian around, she felt a lot of pressure. She knew very well that with her strength, it was impossible for her to compete with Duan Lingtian, unless Duan Lingtian was willing to give the stone platform to her. Although the chances were slim, and she knew her question was rude, she still asked for the sake of the law of time. You're old, shouldn't you give in to a younger person like me? Duan Lingtian retorted when he heard Morong Xiao Xiao's words. Morong Xiao Xiao glared at him angrily. What did he mean by giving in to a younger person? Did this guy not know how to talk? Did he not know it was taboo to joke about a woman's age? Brother Yuan, I didn't expect the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple to give us an opportunity to meditate on the law of time. The young man in green beside the young man in black sighed. Yes, I really didn't expect this. The young man in black nodded. At this moment, he was staring at the highest stone platform in the sky above the canyon. It was the best place to meditate on the law of time. Although he was strong and had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of metal, he knew he was not weak at all. However, he was still slightly inferior to Morong Xiao Xiao. Damn it! The young man in black cursed inwardly as he looked at the other 2 stone platforms in the sky above the canyon. These 2 stone platforms were about 100 meters lower than the tallest one and were suspended on the same level. The highest stone platform must belong to that woman Morong Xiao Xiao. It seems like I can only settle for the next best thing and go to these 2 stone platforms. However, there are 2 stone platforms there. The young man in black murmured to himself. With this thought, the black-clothed young man's gaze landed on the green-clothed young man beside him. He said indifferently, Wang Xian, since you and I are acquaintances, I will guarantee that you will ascend one of the 2 stone platforms on the second highest level. How about it? Earlier, the young man in green, Wang Xian, had quickly shifted his gaze away from the highest stone platform. Although he coveted it, he knew it was not something he could get his hands on. Then he shifted his gaze to the other 2 stone platforms. However, with his strength, it would be difficult for him to occupy one of the 2 stone platforms. After all, he had only comprehended the wind elemental profundity. The wind elemental profundity. Although he had comprehended the second profundity from the law of wind, he had only scratched the surface of it. When he heard the young man in black's words, his breathing quickened, and his eyes shone brightly. Thank you, Brother Yuan. Thank you, Brother Yuan. In the next moment, Wang Xian hurriedly thanked the black-clothed youth, as if one of the 2 stone platforms was already his. Duan Lingtian. Ling Juyan's eyes shone brightly as he looked at Duan Lingtian. Even his tone was a little strange. Don't tell me you want the highest stone platform. I want that stone platform. Before Ling Juyan could finish speaking, Duan Lingtian looked at him meaningfully. Of course, it's not impossible for you to snatch it from me. Let's fight. The corner of Ling Juyan's mouth twitched when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Although he did not think Duan Lingtian was stronger than him, Even if Duan Lingtian had a prominent god weapon, and the best god weapon he had was a mediocre god weapon, he was not afraid of Duan Lingtian. After all, with their current strength, whether they used a prominent god weapon or a mediocre god weapon, the strength they could unleash was about the same. However, even if he was not afraid of Duan Lingtian, he could not help but think about Huang, who was about to become the artifact soul of Duan Lingtian's prominent god weapon. Huang, was originally the artifact soul of his sister's prominent god weapon. She had left the artifact and lived in his sea of consciousness. She had guided him out of the divine offering land and into the Devata realm. If it were not for Huang he would have been killed by his pursuers. Apart from the fact that Huang had saved his life, Huang identity was enough for him to treat her with respect. When his sister was still alive, he had also treated Huang as his sister. Now that Huang was about to become Duan Lingtian's artifact soul, her life and death were in Duan Lingtian's hands. Naturally, he did not dare to offend Duan Lingtian. Fortunately, Duan Lingtian was unaware of Ling Juyan's thoughts. Otherwise, he would have been rendered speechless. Was Duan Lingtian that kind of person? What do you think? Do you want to give it a try? Duan Lingtian stared at Ling Juyan with bright eyes. He was eager to give it a try. It's fine if you don't use a divine artifact. However, if you don't use a divine artifact, you can't use an emperor-grade celestial weapon. At most, we can use a king-grade celestial weapon that has been nurtured by a celestial lord. Humph. Ling Juyan scoffed in response to Duan Lingtian. Chapter 30-23. This guy, is he admitting defeat? This doesn't seem like him at all. Duan Lingtian could not help but mutter to himself when he saw Ling Juyan snorting coldly before he took to the air and made his way to the stone platforms. Little Feng is worried that you'll vent your anger on me after he defeats you. Huang Er's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind, leaving Duan Lingtian speechless. This guy thinks of me that way? Duan Lingtian was speechless when he saw Ling Juyan's figure disappearing into the distance. After Huang Er's reminder, he finally realized why Duan Lingtian had fled without a fight. He was worried that Duan Lingtian would vent his anger on Huang Er after he lost. Originally, the people in the depths of the canyon were still in shock from the law of time. However, when they saw someone taking the lead and making his way to the stone platforms, they immediately made their move. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The group of people, including Xue Jingyu and the others who were standing near Duan Lingtian, rose into the air and flew toward the stone platforms above the canyon. However, these people knew their own limitations, so none of them chose the highest stone platform. In fact, apart from Ling Juyan, no one else chose the higher stone platform. Ling Juyan chose one of the two stone platforms that was second only to the highest stone platform. It was also one of the two stone platforms targeted by the black-clad young man, who had been hating Duan Lingtian since the beginning. Apart from Ling Juyan, the rest of the people who had ascended the stone platforms had only comprehended one profundity from one of the laws. However, they knew their own limitations and did not dare to compete for the 6 stone platforms at the top. There were 6 stone platforms at the top, 1 at the top, 2 at the bottom 100 meters, and 3 at the bottom 100 meters. However, the competition for the stone platforms at the bottom was also in full swing. Although the competition was in full swing, no one attacked. If they felt they were weaker than their opponents, they would withdraw. If they felt they were stronger than their opponents, they would wait for their opponents to withdraw. Everything seemed to be in harmony. Naturally, they were worried they would be sent out of the southern heaven ancient realm if more of them died. Once that happened, they might not even have the time to comprehend the profundities of the law of time left behind by the southern heaven celestial lord. As time passed, the upper part of the canyon and the lower part of the canyon soon had their own owners. At this moment, only a few people, including Duan Lingtian, had yet to make a move. Duan Lingtian Morong Xiao Xiao Oya. In addition, there was a black-clothed youth, a green-clothed youth, a blue-clothed middle-aged man, a red-clothed middle-aged man, a silver-clothed old man, and a gray-clothed old man. Among them, the green-clothed youth followed closely beside the black-clothed youth, while the other 4 formed their own camps. Let's go too. Morong Xiao Xiao no longer wasted her time on Duan Lingtian after learning about the contents of the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple. She called out to Oya before the two of them flew up into the canyon. Before the contents of the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple were revealed, Morong Xiao Xiao had wanted to befriend Duan Lingtian in the hopes that Duan Lingtian would take care of her. At the very least, she would be able to obtain some treasures under his watch. However, after learning about the contents of the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple, and the fact that it was impossible for Duan Lingtian to give up on the highest stone platform, Morong Xiao Xiao decided to give up on pestering Duan Lingtian. Brat, stay away from Xiao Xiao. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. After Morong Xiao Xiao and Oya rose into the air, the black-clad young man brought the green-clad young man to Duan Lingtian. He glanced at Duan Lingtian coldly before he led the green-clad young man to the stone platforms in the sky above the canyon. If the black-clothed youth was not worried that killing Duan Lingtian would bring them one step closer to being sent out of the southern heaven ancient realm, he would have killed Duan Lingtian a long time ago. Duan Lingtian merely shook his head slightly in response to the black-clothed youth's provocation. Little brother, you're really lucky. Li Yuan is a vengeful person. I didn't think he would let you go so easily. After the black-clothed youth and the green-clothed youth flew up into the air, the red-clad middle-aged man laughed as he looked at Duan Lingtian. That's right, little brother. Based on Li Yuan's character, he would have killed you if he wasn't worried about being sent out of the southern heaven ancient realm faster. You're really lucky. Based on the silver-clad old man's words, it was clear he agreed with the red-clad middle-aged man. Based on what you said, it's as though he'll definitely be able to kill me. Duan Lingtian smiled faintly. As it turned out, the black-clothed youth was Li Yuan. He had heard Xue Jingyu and the others mention Li Yuan before, so he knew that Li Yuan was also a person who had comprehended 2 profundities of the law of metal. He seemed to have comprehended 2 profundities of the law of metal. Apart from that, Li Yuan was also a genius disciple from a grade 8 sect. He was also the most talented disciple in the sect for the past 1,000 years. Generally speaking, those who made it to the Celestial Lord Temple were all geniuses in the profound Nether Mansion. Little brother, don't be unconvinced. Since we said that, it's only natural that Li Yuan is extraordinary. He has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of metal. The silver-clad old man smiled. How strong is he compared to Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan? Duan Lingtian asked indifferently. He shrugged nonchalantly when he saw the silver-clad old man's smile. Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, the blue-clad middle-aged man and the gray-clad old man, who were about to fly up into the air, came to a halt. Sima Chun? Dongfang Jinluan? The red-clad middle-aged man was taken aback when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then, he looked at the people in the sky and narrowed his eyes slightly. I didn't notice earlier. Where are Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan? With their strength, it shouldn't be difficult for them to come here. Among those who have entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, I know they're the only ones who have comprehended 2 profundities from the law. It doesn't make sense for them to be here, the blue-clad middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Don't tell me they're dead? Unless they're dead, they should have been here since they entered the Celestial Lord Temple, the gray-clad old man said. Then, the 3 red-clad middle-aged men exchanged a look with the silver-clad old man. Their eyes were filled with shock when they recalled the purple-clad young man's words. Little brother, why did you suddenly mention Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan? Do you know where they are? The silver-robed old man sucked in a cold breath and asked. Of course I do. Duan Lingtian looked at the silver-clad old man and said indifferently, they're dead. Although the 4 of them had vaguely guessed this would be the outcome, they still felt inexplicably shocked when they heard the confirmation from Duan Lingtian. Sima Chun was a genius from the Sima clan, a grade 7 clan. He had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of wind, the wind elemental profundity and the gale profundity. His strength was comparable to the 4 red-clad middle-aged men. Although the 4 red-clad middle-aged men had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of wind, it was still impossible for them to kill Sima Chun. After all, Sima Chun had comprehended the gale profundity from the law of wind. As for Dongfang Jinluan was a genius from the Dongfang family, a grade 7 clan. He had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of thunder, the thunder elemental profundity and the lightning profundity. Dongfang Jinluan's strength was stronger than Sima Chun and the 4 red-clad middle-aged men. However, these 2 people had actually died. They couldn't have been killed by you, right? The blue-clad middle-aged man asked in a trembling voice as he stared at Duan Lingtian. At the same time, he instinctively swallowed his saliva and asked in a trembling voice. At the same time, the other 3 red-clad middle-aged men looked at Duan Lingtian in unison. Yes, Duan Lingtian nodded indifferently when he saw the 4 red-clad middle-aged men looking at him expectantly. Then he kicked the air and flew up into the air. They provoke me one after another. Their strength is only so I killed them with just one move. When the 4 red-clad middle-aged men heard Duan Lingtian's words, their eyes widened in shock and disbelief. At this moment, the 4 of them could even hear each other's heavy breathing. After all, the purple-clad young man's words were simply too shocking. If the purple-clad young man had admitted to killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan, they would not have lost their composure. However, the problem was, not only did the purple-clad young man admit to killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan, but he even said he had killed them with just one move. He must be joking, right? It doesn't seem like he's joking. He killed Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan with just one move. Even if he has comprehended 3 profundities from the same law, he might not be able to do it, right? Even if he has a royal-grade celestial weapon, he might not be able to do it, right? The four red-clad middle-aged men whispered among themselves. None of them believed Duan Lingtian's words. They felt Duan Lingtian was being too honest. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian's figure blurred as he approached the highest stone platforms in the valley. Xiao Xiao, you should be going to that stone platform. Why are you looking at these two stone platforms? The black-clad young man, Li Yuan, and the green-clad young man, Wang Xian, were standing at the top of the valley. They looked at Morong Xiao Xiao, who was standing at the same level as them. It was obvious she was not interested in the highest stone platform at all. Don't tell me you're thinking of helping Oya get one of the two stone platforms? Realization dawned on Li Yuan as he looked at Oya, who was standing next to Morong Xiao Xiao. At the same time, Wang Xian's expression changed drastically. Chapter 30-24. Morong Xiao Xiao did not reply to Li Yuan's question. However, her next action told Li Yuan the answer. Whoosh! Morong Xiao Xiao's figure flashed like a gust of wind. She landed firmly on one of the two stone platforms that was second only to the tallest one. From then on, the two stone platforms that were second only to the tallest one were occupied. Apart from Morong Xiao Xiao, Ling Juyan, who was the first to move, also occupied one. Li Yuan was dumbfounded when he saw Morong Xiao Xiao's actions. He did not expect such an outcome. Xiao Xiao, you don't intend to go to the tallest stone platform? When Li Yuan finished speaking, he subconsciously raised his head and looked at the stone platform at a higher point. The stone platform was 100 meters away in the air. There was no one on it at all. As soon as Li Yuan finished speaking, he saw a figure flying toward him. A purple figure rose into the air unhurriedly. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the highest point of the stone platform. When the figure appeared, Li Yuan's expression changed completely. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. It's him! It's him! He's not even 100 years old. How dare he occupy that stone platform? At this moment Wang Xian, who was next to Li Yuan, also saw the young man in purple on the tallest stone platform. Wasn't that the young man who was so close to Morong Xiao Xiao? Xiao Xiao, you gave that stone platform to him? In the next moment, Li Yuan looked at Morong Xiao Xiao in disbelief. In his opinion, Morong Xiao Xiao was the only one who had the right to go to that stone platform. However, someone else had gone up there. Moreover, Morong Xiao Xiao might have given it to that person. Li Yuan was so angry that his face twitched slightly. However, Morong Xiao Xiao ignored Li Yuan's question. She closed her eyes as the aqua-blue energy surrounded her body. It was as though she was immersed in a blue ocean. Morong Xiao Xiao was beautiful to begin with. Her face looked even more enchanting under the aqua-blue energy. If it was any other time, Li Yuan would have calmed down and admired this scene. However, he was not in the mood at all. Seeing that Morong Xiao Xiao was ignoring him, Li Yuan's twitching face twitched even more. It became somewhat distorted and sinister. Bang! Li Yuan kicked the air. In the next moment, he shot toward the tallest stone platform at lightning speed. It was also the stone platform that Duan Lingtian was standing on. This is going to be interesting. That purple-clad young man. Even Morong Xiao took the initiative to talk to him. He's obviously not an ordinary person. Perhaps he's stronger than Morong Xiao? Otherwise, why didn't Morong Xiao Xiao compete with him for the stone platform? That's not necessarily. Maybe Morong Xiao's who is? No matter how I look at it, he's a pretty boy toy boy. Most importantly, this purple-clad young man doesn't seem to be 100 years old. Heavens! He wasn't even 100 years old. So how did he end up here? His innate talent is too monstrous. I'm not even 100 years old. I haven't even become an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, let alone comprehending a profundity. Where did this purple-clad young man come from? How is he so monstrous? No matter how monstrous he is, he's not even 100 years old. There's no way he's a match for Li Yuan. That might not be the case. After all, even Morong Xiao Xiao had to take the initiative to befriend him. Moreover, she wouldn't bring out her memories of the Celestial Lord Temple. It's only possible that Morong Xiao Xiao is willing to take care of him after they leave the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. That's not necessarily true. Perhaps he has a powerful background. Perhaps he's related to the Morong clan. That's why Morong Xiao Xiao is willing to take care of him. When the others saw Li Yuan flying toward Duan Lingtian, who was sitting on the highest stone platform, they turned to look at Duan Lingtian. He's going to the highest stone platform? Meanwhile, the four people who had just recovered from the shock of witnessing Duan Lingtian killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan, with a single move also noticed Duan Lingtian's movements. It seems like Morong Xiao Xiao has no intention of competing with him. Earlier, Morong Xiao Xiao had interacted with him, so she must be aware of his strength. It seems like Morong Xiao Xiao is trying to befriend him, because he's stronger than her. Oya came here with him. Moreover, Morong Xiao Xiao and Oya are best friends. Oya must have told Morong Xiao Xiao about what she saw. I agree. Oya must have witnessed the purple-clad young man killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan with her own eyes. However, I still find it hard to believe that he's capable of killing Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan with a single move. It's obviously Yuan intends to compete with Duan Lingtian for the highest stone platform. We'll soon find out if he's strong enough to kill Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan. Li Yuan is even stronger than Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan. Apart from comprehending the fire elemental profundity, he has also comprehended the explosion profundity. The explosion profundity is the strongest offensive profundity in the law of fire. With this profundity, Li Yuan's strength is more than enough to defeat Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan. The four of them discussed among themselves. It was clear they were very familiar with Li Yuan's strength. However, Morong Xiao Xiao is the only one who can counter Li Yuan. Not only has she comprehended the law of water, but her attainment in the law of water is even higher than Li Yuan's attainment in the law of fire. I'm really curious. Is this purple-clad young man really strong enough to kill Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan like he said? Their gazes followed Li Yuan all the way until Li Yuan reached the highest stone platform in the abyss. He stood in the void beside the stone platform. Get lost, brat. Li Yuan stood in the air and stared coldly at Duan Lingtian, who was sitting cross-legged on the stone platform as he scolded sternly. Duan Lingtian had noticed Li Yuan's presence when he arrived at the stone platform. His face darkened when he heard Li Yuan's reprimand. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight right now. Otherwise, you can stay in the Celestial Lord Temple and the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm forever. Duan Lingtian glanced at Li Yuan coldly. His voice was icy cold, giving off a feeling as though he was in a world of ice and snow. Whoosh! Duan Lingtian's voice was not soft. His words were clearly heard by everyone in the gorge. Most of them burst into an uproar. Naturally, there were also some who were not surprised by Li Yuan's words. For example, Xue Jingyu, Oya, and the others who were on Duan Lingtian's side had witnessed Duan Lingtian killing Dongfang Jin Luan with a single strike. Naturally, they did not doubt Li Yuan's strength. Perhaps, Li Yuan was slightly stronger than Dongfang Jin Luan, but not by much. In fact, if Li Yuan fought Dongfang Jin Luan, he might not be able to defeat Dongfang Jin Luan, even if he had the upper hand. Sometimes, even if one's strength was similar, it did not mean one would win. When Wang Xian heard Duan Lingtian's words, he instinctively thought Duan Lingtian was seeking death. He was standing near the stone platform on the second level. However, when he glanced at Oya, who was standing nearby, he discovered she was calm. It was as though she was not affected by the purple-clad young man's words at all. It was as though it was only natural for her to do so. Could it be? When Wang Xian recalled how Morong Xiao Xiao and Oya had expressed their goodwill to Duan Lingtian not long after they had reunited, a thought that made him break out in cold sweat appeared in his mind. Could it be? Could it be that Duan Lingtian is stronger than Oya and Morong Xiao Xiao? Could it be that Morong Xiao Xiao is trying to curry favor with Duan Lingtian in the hopes that he'll let her have a share of the benefits in the future? I remember. After the voice left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord introduced the Time Canyon, Murong Xiaoxiao stopped trying to curry favor with Duan Ling Tian like a plaster. Perhaps her change of heart is due to the fact that this is the last stop in the Celestial Lord Temple. Even if she tries to curry favor with Duan Ling Tian, it's useless. When Wang Xian thought about this, he was even more certain his guess was correct. He could not help but gasp. After taking a deep breath, Wang Xian instinctively wanted to remind Li Yuan of this. However, just as he was about to send a voice transmission to Duan Ling Tian, Li Yuan, who was hovering in the air, near the only stone platform, on the first level, suddenly charged toward Duan Ling Tian, with flames blazing all over his body. Swoosh! Swoosh! The burning man swept across the sky as though a huge fire was burning the sky. The air seemed to be scorched, and a faint burnt smell could be smelt. Idiot! The voice came from one of the two stone platforms on the second level. It was Ling Juyin. He looked up at the sky and said calmly, "That's right, young Master Xiao." Naturally, he was referring to Li Yuan. In Li Yuan's opinion, apart from him, anyone who dared to attack Duan Ling Tian would be seeking death. Duan Ling Tian, who possessed a divine weapon, was like a peerless god of death in the Celestial Lord Temple. He could kill anyone he wanted. Ling Juyan's words caught Murong Xiaoxiao's attention. She looked at him curiously. He's not even 100 years old. At the same time, she discovered the gray-clad young man was not even 100 years old, just like Duan Ling Tian. He seems to have come to the Time Canyon with Duan Ling Tian and Sister Oya. Murong Xiaoxiao's memory was not bad. As soon as Murong Xiaoxiao thought about this, swoosh. Chapter 30-25. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Li Yuan, who had transformed into a flaming man, was cleaved into two before he could even get close to the purple figure on the highest stone platform. Swoosh! During this process, there was only a short-lived sword whistle in their ears, and a flash of seven-colored sword light appeared in their eyes. After Li Yuan was cleaved into two, the fire continued to burn. In just a blink of an eye, the two halves of Li Yuan's body were reduced to ashes. Only a sumaru ring, a long spear, a set of dark golden armor, and the accumulative point jade badge remained. They appeared in midair and fell from the sky. "You can have his points," Duan Ling Tian said to Ling Juyin through voice transmission. Then he raised his hand, and an invisible energy swept out. Before Li Yuan's accumulative point jade shattered, he flicked his finger and threw it out. The distance between Ling Juyin's jade token and Li Yuan's jade token was more than 100 meters away from Ling Juyin. Although Ling Juyin and Murong Xiaoxiao were on the same stone platform, Ling Juyin's stone platform was closer to Duan Ling Tian's stone platform. Bang! After Li Yuan's accumulative points jade exploded, Duan Ling Tian raised his hand and retrieved his accumulative points jade. He nodded in satisfaction when he saw there were no more points in his accumulative points jade. Previously, Duan Ling Tian had killed two people who had comprehended two profundities from a law and obtained a large number of points. If he obtained Li Yuan's points, even if the people in the Celestial Lord Temple did not remember he was the one who killed Li Yuan, there would still be people who would suspect he was the one who killed Li Yuan based on the points he had accumulated. Apart from that, there would also be people who would suspect he was the one who killed Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan. Although Duan Ling Tian would join one of the three sects and two clans after he left the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, it would be impossible for anyone to kill him even if they suspected him. However, what would happen after he joined one of the three sects and two clans? That power couldn't possibly send powerhouses to protect him all day long, right? Although he still had a consumable royal-grade celestial weapon that could be used twice, he did not want to use it unless it was absolutely necessary. Therefore, he gave Li Yuan's points to Ling Juyin. This way, he and Ling Juyin's points would be more balanced. "You're trying to push me into a fire pit." Ling Juyin gritted his teeth and said to Duan Ling Tian, when he realized that a large number of points had appeared in his jade token out of nowhere. "Don't worry. When the time comes, they might not only suspect the two of us, but they will also suspect other people with high points," Duan Ling Tian said through voice transmission. Whoosh! Duan Ling Tian raised his hand again, and another wave of invisible energy swept out from his hand and collected the spatial ring, the spear, and the armor that continued to fall from the sky. I thought I'd only be able to obtain profundities from the law of time in the time canyon. I didn't expect someone to give me a king-grade celestial weapon and a spatial ring. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said in a clear voice, "Although I don't lack king-grade celestial weapons, since someone gave them to me, I can't possibly refuse." Due to the dead silence in the time canyon, Duan Lingtian's casual words were clearly heard by everyone present on the scene. Everyone was originally immersed in the shock earlier. Now that they regained their senses because of Duan Lingtian's words, they were naturally speechless. "You don't lack king-grade celestial weapons? You can give them to me if you don't lack king-grade celestial weapons." Naturally, they did not dare to voice their thoughts out loud. Who knew if they would offend Duan Lingtian if they said so? "Everyone, I'm sorry. I've killed another person. This also means that the amount of time we can stay here has decreased by a bit." Duan Lingtian looked at the people below the stone platform and said in a clear voice, "I hope everyone can quietly comprehend the profundities from the law of time left behind by the southern heaven's celestial lord. Alright, I'll meditate first. Don't disturb me if there's anything. It won't be easy for me to meditate again if I wake up." Duan Lingtian continued to speak. When he reached the end of his sentence, there was no lack of threat in his tone, causing everyone present to shudder involuntarily. They did not doubt Duan Lingtian's words at all. If anyone dared to provoke Duan Lingtian again, they would definitely end up like Li Yuan. "I hope no one will disturb me again. After all, it takes time to comprehend the profundities from the law of time left behind by the southern heaven's celestial lord." Duan Lingtian muttered to himself before he closed his eyes again. He left a portion of his divine consciousness to observe his surroundings while the rest of his energy was scattered around his body. This is the law of time? After entering the meditative state, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel waves of mysterious energy pulsating around his body. For example, the airflow to his right was sometimes rapid and sometimes slow. There was even a moment when it completely stopped. It was as though time had stopped. The law of time was known as the most mysterious and peculiar law among the four great laws. It was also the most profound law in heaven and earth. Such a law could not be comprehended through celestial methods and divine abilities. It could only be comprehended through fortuitous encounters and fortuitous encounters. The Emperor-grade celestial weapon, the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, that I used to own, must contain the law of time. This is because the flow of time in the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda is different from the flow of time in the mundane realm. Duan Lingtian thought about the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, and Hualao when he thought about the law of time. He could not help but sigh inwardly. He wondered where Hualao and the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda were. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian had already immersed himself in the law of time's profundity flowing around him. However, it was not peaceful below the stone platform. Many people were vying for the right to own the stone platform. However, at this moment, no one dared to challenge the highest stone platform Duan Lingtian was on. What a terrifying attack! Is the seven-colored sword Qi his emperor-grade celestial weapon? Murong Xiaoxiao was stunned for a long time when she witnessed Duan Lingtian killing Li Yuan with just one strike. She only regained her senses after a while. Although she did not doubt Oye's words, hearing about it and seeing it with her own eyes were two completely different things. If I had to face that sword Qi, I would have ended up just like Li Yuan. Murong Xiaoxiao broke out in cold sweat when she thought about this. He killed Li Yuan with just one strike? With just one strike of his sword? The four-peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials, who had comprehended two profundities from a law initially doubted Duan Lingtian. However, after witnessing Duan Lingtian killing Li Yuan with just one strike, they realized Duan Lingtian was not lying to them. Their strength is only SOSO. I killed them with just one strike. Duan Lingtian's words rang in their ears. How terrifying. How can he be so strong? His sword Qi seems to contain the earth elemental profundity. The earth elemental profundity. It seems like it's because of his sword. That sword seems to be emitting a 7-colored light. I even saw the sword fuse with his body when it returned to his hand. Fuse with his body? Isn't that something only an emperor-grade celestial weapon can do? He has an emperor-grade celestial weapon. One of them recalled how the 7-colored sword ray had entered Duan Lingtian's body after killing Li Yuan. He immediately thought of the emperor-grade celestial weapon that was superior to royal-grade celestial weapons. An emperor-grade celestial weapon? That purple-clad young man has an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Soon after, everyone in the Time Canyon learned that Duan Lingtian had an emperor-grade celestial weapon. Oya, Xue Jingyu, and the others who had witnessed Duan Lingtian killing Dongfang Jinluan with just one strike were not surprised at all. How dare Li Yuan provoke Duan Lingtian? He's seeking death. Just now I wanted to remind him. But on second thought, this Li Yuan's reputation is ordinary, and I don't have a good impression of him, so I gave up on the idea. Me too. The few people who spoke were of average strength. They all chose the lower stone platforms in a low-key manner. Therefore no one challenged them. Sister Oya. He doesn't seem to be even 100 years old. On one of the 2 stone platforms on the second level, Morong Xiao Xiao looked at Oya, who was about to leave, and asked through voice transmission, "Aren't you going to challenge him and snatch his stone platform? With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult for you to snatch his stone platform. If you're not confident, I can help you." Morong Xiao Xiao replied through voice transmission. Oya smiled bitterly when she heard Morong Xiao Xiao's words. At the same time, she said to Morong Xiao Xiao through voice transmission, "Sister Morong, I appreciate your kindness. However, I'm no match for him. Even if we join forces, we won't be able to defeat him. Instead of wasting our time, I might as well find a stone platform and comprehend the law of time left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord." A hint of bitterness could be heard in Oya's voice when she spoke. Upon hearing Oya's words, Morong Xiao Xiao could tell something was amiss. "Don't tell me he also has an emperor-grade celestial weapon like Duan Lingtian?" Morong Xiao Xiao asked casually. She did not think there was a second person with an emperor-grade celestial weapon in this place. After all, emperor-grade celestial weapons were not cabbages that could be found everywhere. "He doesn't have an emperor-grade celestial weapon," Oya replied. "Then why are you afraid of him?" Morong Xiao Xiao asked. "It's true that he doesn't have an emperor-grade celestial weapon, but I heard from the people who came with me that he has a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon. Moreover, he has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death." Oya's voice was laced with a hint of helplessness. Duan Lingtian, who was not even 100 years old, had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth, and possessed an emperor-grade 7-colored light sword. Ling Juyan, who was not even 100 years old, had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death, and possessed a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon. Chapter 30-26. What? Oya's words shocked Morong Xiao Xiao. A pure defensive royal-grade celestial weapon? Just like how purely defensive king-grade celestial weapons were rare among king-grade celestial weapons, purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapons were second only to sole defensive royal-grade celestial weapons. The value of a pure defensive royal-grade celestial weapon was comparable to an ordinary emperor-grade celestial weapon. Yes. Oya nodded and left. She went to the 3rd layer of the stone platform to compete for the stone platform. With her strength, it would not be difficult for her to compete for one of the 3 stone platforms on the 3rd floor. However, even if Oya gave up on Ling Juyan's stone platform, it did not mean the others would give up as well. A moment later, the red-clad young man among the 4-peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials, who had comprehended 2 profundities from a law, flew up to Ling Juyan's stone platform in just a blink of an eye. He did not dare to compete for Morong Xiao Xiao's stone platform. However, he still wanted to compete for the stone platform of this young man, whom he had never seen or heard of. This was because when Duan Lingtian had given Li Yuan's points to Ling Juyan, he had communicated with Ling Juyan through voice transmission. Otherwise, even if he was wary of Duan Lingtian, he would not have dared to compete for Ling Juyan's stone platform. Although Duan Ling Tian's action of increasing his points was huge, and many people had seen it, in their opinion, Duan Ling Tian was merely protecting himself. Duan Ling Tian did not want to be in the limelight by accumulating too many points. It was not difficult to guess that Duan Ling Tian did not want to attract the attention of the people behind Li Yuan, Sima Chun, and Dongfang Jinluan. Li Yuan was from an 8th grade sect, and he was the strongest genius in the sect in the past 1,000 years. Therefore, the sect treated him like his life. If they knew who killed Li Yuan, that sect would definitely secretly take revenge. Sima Chun and Dongfang Jinluan's backgrounds were even more extraordinary. Both of them came from 7th grade clans, and their clans had many more experts than those from 8th grade sections. Once these two clans set their sights on someone, even if that person was a genius from the 3 sects and 2 clans, his life would still be in danger. Therefore, they could completely understand Duan Lingtian's actions. As for Ling Juyan's points, in their opinion, it was just Ling Juyan's good luck that he was close to Li Yuan's point Jade. Oya, Xue Jingyu, and the others knew about the relationship between Duan Ling Tian and Ling Juyan. But at this time, they were either busy challenging the stone platform or comprehending the laws of time that filled the time canyon. They had no time to talk to people who didn't know about this. Yun Zhan. With just a glance, Morong Xiao Xiao recognized the red-clad middle-aged man who wanted to challenge Ling Juyan. Yun Zhan was a disciple from an 8th grade sect. However, he was not young, and he had suppressed his cultivation base to comprehend profundities. Although Yun Zhan looked like a middle-aged man, he was in fact more than 1,000 years old. He had suppressed his cultivation base to the level of a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial, just to enter the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. Yun Zhan had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth, and he had lived for more than 1,000 years. Therefore, he was quite strong. At the very least, Morong Xiao Xiao did not think she would be able to defeat Yun Zhan when she had just comprehended 2 profundities from the law of water. I'll give you a chance. Get out of my sight. Otherwise, you'll have to stay in the Celestial Lord Temple and the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm forever. Ling Juyan said coldly when he saw Yun Zhan staring at him from a distance. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Ling Juyan glanced at Yun Zhan and said coldly. As soon as he finished speaking, he thought to himself, "It feels good to say these words." He had repeated what Duan Lingtian had said to Li Yuan earlier. Yun Zhan had thought of many possibilities when he heard Ling Juyan's words. However, he did not expect Ling Juyan would say the same thing as Duan Lingtian. When Ling Juyan spoke, his voice was loud enough to drown out the clamor in the time canyon and reach everyone's ears. Immediately, the figures who were fighting each other shot out and temporarily stopped fighting. They all looked at one of the 2 stone platforms on the 2nd floor. A gray-clad young man could be seen sitting cross-legged on one of the stone platforms, with a sheathed sword resting on his knees. It was clear he was a sword celestial. He's not even 100 years old. Soon after, someone discovered the gray-clad young man was not even 100 years old, just like Duan Lingtian. Didn't he say what Duan Lingtian said to Li Yuan earlier? Now he's facing a challenger, and he's actually saying the same thing to his challenger? This is my first time seeing such a lazy person. Is it that difficult for him to say something like that? Why is he copying someone else's words? Does he think he's Duan Lingtian? Or is he delusional? Does he think he has an emperor-grade celestial weapon like Duan Lingtian? That's right. Does he think emperor-grade celestial weapons are like cabbages? Everyone was speechless when they saw Ling Juyan mimicking Duan Lingtian's words. However, at the same time, they were eager to see if Ling Juyan would be able to withstand the challenge from the red-clad middle-aged man. The red-clad middle-aged man is an outer court elder from the Grade 8 sect, the Thousand Autumns sect. His name is Yun Zhan. He's a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial. He has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth. Coupled with his 1,000 years of combat experience, he's quite strong. Many people recognized the middle-aged man in red. This gray-robed youth. I've never seen or heard of him before. Who knows him? At the same time, the crowd discovered that no one knew the gray-clothed young man, nor had they heard of him. "Brother, you seem to have come with him in Duan Lingtian. How strong is he? Is he a match for Yun Zhan?" someone asked, looking at Xue Jingyu. "I don't know." However, Xue Jingyu simply shook his head in the face of other people's questions. He had a blank look on his face, as if he knew nothing at all. He knew Ling Juyin was no weaker than Morong Xiaoxiao. Moreover, Ling Juyin possessed a purely defensive royal-grade celestial weapon, so it was impossible for Morong Xiaoxiao to defeat him. However, he did not intend to reveal his thoughts. After all, he hated shameless old men like Yun Zhan, who purposely suppressed their cultivation bases to compete with the juniors in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, for the fortuitous encounters left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. Meanwhile, many people who came with Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin were questioned as well. However, like Xue Jingyu, none of them knew anything about Ling Juyin. It seems like the gray-clothed young man, who's younger than 100 years old, has only comprehended one law. That's impossible. How could he dare to climb up the stone platform, if he's so weak? I have a feeling he has comprehended 2 profundities from a law as well. He's not even 100 years old, but he has comprehended 2 profundities from a law. Do you really think Duan Lingtian is as weak as a cabbage? Perhaps he's trying to use Duan Lingtian's fame to make people think he's as strong as Duan Lingtian. That's possible. In the end, everyone agreed that Yun Zhan would snatch the stone platform that Ling Juyin was sitting on. Moreover, based on what Xue Jingyu had said to Duan Lingtian, it was highly likely Yun Zhan would not show him any mercy. That was indeed the case. Upon hearing Ling Juyun's words, Yun Zhan felt like he was being looked down upon and humiliated. His eyes widened, and his face turned even redder. At the same time, his celestial origin energy, that had been boosted with the earth elemental profundity, began to vibrate around his body. Sand and pebbles could be seen flying around him. Yun Zhan and Duan Lingtian had comprehended the same law, but unlike Duan Lingtian, Yun Zhan had comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian was mistaken for having comprehended 2 profundities from the law of earth. In fact, he had only comprehended 1 profundity. Boom! Rumble! Under everyone's watchful eyes, the yellow energy around Yun Zhan's body vibrated even more. Sand and pebbles began to gather around him. In the end, Yun Zhan was completely shrouded in the energy. Sand and pebbles flew all over the sky, shaking the void, causing countless ripples to appear in the void. They then spread out together, as if forming a dazzling picture. The law of Earth's vibration profundity? On the stone platform, Ling Juyin raised an eyebrow when he saw Yun Zhan accumulating his energy. Then he slowly raised his hand. Everyone thought he was going to draw his sword from the scabbard on his lap. However, he raised his hand, clearly not intending to draw his sword. What's he trying to do? Morong Xiaoxiao, who was standing closest to Ling Juyin, frowned slightly. She did not know what Ling Juyin was trying to do. In the next moment, a black vortex appeared in Ling Juyin's hand. Then, the tip of a sword appeared in the black vortex. Morong Xiaoxiao's expression changed drastically. An emperor-grade celestial weapon. Morong Xiaoxiao's eyes widened as her heart trembled violently. Just like how only emperor-grade celestial weapons could be stored in one's body, only emperor-grade celestial weapons could be retrieved from one's body. In the next moment, under everyone's watchful eyes, a 3-foot-long sword that was shrouded in gray lightning appeared in Ling Juyin's hand. An emperor-grade celestial weapon? Another emperor-grade celestial weapon? How's this possible? Since when did emperor-grade celestial weapons become so common? Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin both have emperor-grade celestial weapons. Everyone, including Xue Jingyu and the others, was stunned when they saw Ling Juyin retrieving a sword from his body. Moreover, the sword's aura was extraordinary. To them, emperor-grade celestial weapons were legendary existences. However, now that emperor-grade celestial weapons had appeared one after another, they began to doubt the rarity of emperor-grade celestial weapons. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Chapter 30:27. Just a moment ago, Yunjian was still filled with rage, looking as though he was going to kill Ling Jueyin. However, when Yunjian saw Ling Jueyin taking out the 3-foot-long sword that seemed to be an emperor-grade celestial weapon, the battle intent in Yunjian's body was instantly extinguished. It was as though his battle intent had been extinguished by a bucket of water. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. Yunjian hastily admitted defeat. It was as though he was afraid Ling Jueyin would use the sword that was shrouded in gray lightning against him. Admit defeat? Ling Jueyin glanced at Yunjian, who was shrouded by the flying sand and pebbles, before he said indifferently, "Why are you admitting defeat now? What were you waiting for?" As soon as Ling Jueyin finished speaking, a clone of Ling Jueyin appeared out of thin air in front of everyone's eyes. However, this Ling Jueyin had a pair of blood-red eyes, and the aura he emitted was strange as well. That's a clone. Many of the people present could see that Ling Jueyin had used the doppelganger technique. Humph! That's the undead clone profundity that Ling Jueyin has comprehended. Ling Jueyin has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death. However, I didn't expect him to have an emperor-grade celestial weapon as well. Moreover, it's also a celestial sword. Xue Jingyu's tone was filled with emotion as he spoke. He was already shocked when he saw Duan Lingtian taking out an emperor-grade celestial sword. However, Ling Jueyin had also taken out an emperor-grade celestial sword. He could not help but wonder if there was really an emperor-grade celestial weapon in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he quickly dismissed it. He knew it was impossible. The law of death? Profound of undead doppelganger? This gray-clothed young man named Ling Jueyin has comprehended the law of death? Moreover, he even comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death? With the strength of the law of death, and the fact that he has comprehended 2 profundities from the law of death, even if he doesn't use an emperor-grade celestial weapon, he's not any weaker than Yunjian. Now that he has taken out his emperor-grade celestial weapon, there's no doubt about the outcome of this battle. Aren't you spouting nonsense? Didn't you see Yunjian admitting defeat in fear? Now he's just short of kneeling before Ling Jueyin. This Yunjian probably never even dreamed that he would kick such an iron plate. Hearing Xue Jingyu's words, the crowd exclaimed in surprise. At the same time, they felt that Yunjian was extremely unlucky to have provoked a monster like Ling Jueyin. Whoosh! Along with the sound of air being torn apart, and the sound of air exploding rang out. It was Ling Jueyin's undead avatar wielding an emperor-grade celestial sword that was aimed at Yunjian, who was shrouded in flying sand. Swoosh! 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 When Ling Jueyin's undead avatar was still a distance away from Yunjian, he swung the sword in his hand. In just an instant, gray sword rays appeared around Yunjian and swept toward him from all directions like a net of swords. Bang! A loud noise rang in the air. Yunjian was trying to break free from the net of swords with the help of the flying sand and rocks. However, the net of swords shook a few times, but it did not show any signs of breaking free. Yunjian's expression changed drastically. Bang! 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 A series of loud noises spread out, like the deafening sound of a drum. Before Ling Jueyin's undead avatar could get close to Yunjian, Yunjian had taken out his king-grade celestial weapon in an attempt to break free from the net of swords. However, no matter how hard he tried, the net of swords only shook a few times before it returned to normal. An expression of despair could be seen on his face. Spare me. Spare me. As long as you spare me, I'm willing to give you everything I have. Spare me. Just as Ling Jueyin's undead clone was about to slash at Yunjian's anxious and humble voice resounded through the entire time canyon. Senior brother Ling Jueyin, please accept my offer. At this moment, everyone felt despair from Yunjian's anxious and humble words, and they all felt a sense of sympathy for him. If they were in Yunjian's position, the outcome would not be any different. No. All of this came to an end when Yunjian let out an extremely shrill scream. The time canyon regained its calm once more. However, at this moment, the way everyone looked at Ling Jueyin was completely different. In their eyes, Ling Jueyin was no longer inferior to Duan Lingtian. After all, Ling Jueyin had comprehended the law of death, while Duan Lingtian had comprehended the law of earth. For this reason, they were even more afraid of Ling Jueyin. With Ling Jueyin's strength and the emperor-grade celestial sword in his hand, he's definitely a match for Duan Lingtian. However, based on the way he sat there, it seems like he had planned to let Duan Lingtian have the highest stone platform since the beginning. Soon after, some people voiced their doubts. Isn't it obvious? One of the more observant people chimed in. Didn't you see how Ling Jueyin and Duan Lingtian came here together? Perhaps they've known each other for a long time. Both of them are peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials under the age of 100. Moreover, both of them possess emperor-grade celestial weapons. It's very likely that they came from the same place. How could a peak overarching heavenly supreme celestial be given an emperor-grade celestial weapon? Why would someone from that place be interested in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm? I don't think they're interested in the upper realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, right? I don't know. However, I have a feeling that it's not a coincidence that both of them appeared in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm at the same time. Even Xue Jingyu and the others who were in the same place as Duan Lingtian, during the first trial, in the Celestial Lord Temple, could not help but feel skeptical. Could it be that Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyin were really related? I remember that after the first trial in the Celestial Lord Temple, Ling Jueyin asked Duan Lingtian to avoid us. Xue Jingyu could not help but frown when he thought about this. He felt that Duan Lingtian and Ling Jueyin might not have known each other before this. Otherwise, why would they be so secretive? Why would they not have spoken to each other through voice transmission? After thinking about it for a long time, Xue Jingyu still could not figure it out. In the end, he decided to give up. Forget it. It's none of my business whether they're related or not. I should focus on comprehending the profundity from the law of time in the time canyon. After a while, he sat cross-legged on a stone platform and began to comprehend the law of time. With your strength, you're definitely capable of competing with Duan Lingtian for that stone platform. Morong Xiao looked at Ling Jueyin, who was standing at the same level as her. A hint of shock could be seen in the depths of her eyes. Although Morong Xiao had learned from Oya that Ling Jueyin was not a simple person before he made his move, she had only thought his defense was extraordinary. She did not expect Ling Jueyin to not only have a terrifying defense, but his attack was also very powerful. In fact, his attack was even more terrifying than his defense. After all, he relied on his royal-grade celestial weapon for defense, while he relied on his emperor-grade celestial weapon for offense. What does it have to do with you? Upon hearing Morong Xiao's question, Ling Jueyin glanced at her indifferently before he closed his eyes and began to comprehend the law of time in the time canyon. Morong Xiao's words invisibly pierced his soft spot. In truth, he was not afraid of Duan Lingtian at all. However, since his sister Huang had already acknowledged Duan Lingtian as her master, her life and death were in Duan Lingtian's hands. For this reason, he had no choice but to submit to Duan Lingtian's tyranny to prevent Duan Lingtian from venting his anger on his sister Huang. You. Morong Xiao's expression changed drastically when she saw that Ling Jueyin was as rude to her as Duan Lingtian was. He was unlike the men who surrounded her like stars surrounding the moon. Now, she even began to wonder if her charm had weakened. However, what she did not know was that Ling Jueyin had an extraordinary background. He had met many women who were more beautiful than her. Even Huang who had become the soul of Duan Lingtian's divine sword, was far more beautiful than her. Gasp, 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 gasp. After a long time, Morong Xiao finally calmed down. At the same time, she did not waste any more time, and began to meditate and comprehend the profundities of the law of time. Meanwhile, the others had also recovered from the shock of seeing Ling Jueyin, and continued to compete for the stone platforms. After a day and a night, the time canyon finally calmed down. Everyone had their own stone platform. At this moment, Duan Lingtian sat on the highest stone platform in the time canyon, meditating and comprehending the law of time. Although he seemed calm on the surface, his heart was in turmoil. The law of time is mysterious and strange. It can be fast, slow, and even stop. The element contained in the law of time should be the time elemental profundity. The time elemental profundity. Duan Lingtian was the first to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, the time elemental profundity. Since he was the first to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, generally, those who came into contact with the law of time's fundamental profundity would have a high chance of comprehending the time elemental profundity. Time is passing with every passing moment. Generally speaking, no one can avoid time completely. Naturally, if one has an emperor-grade celestial weapon, like the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda, one can avoid time to a certain extent. However, it's impossible to reverse or stop time. Time, 100 years in a single thought, 1,000 years in a single thought. One thought, one cycle. Chapter 30:28. Although Ling Juyin had caused a huge commotion earlier, Duan Lingtian did not pay attention to it at all. In fact, Duan Lingtian did not know about it at all. Currently, other than leaving a wisp of divine consciousness to protect himself, so that he could wake up immediately when he was in danger, the rest of his attention was completely focused on visualizing and comprehending the law of time. Currently, there were more than 40 people, including Duan Lingtian, who were comprehending the law of time and comprehending profundities in the time canyon. They could be considered the strongest group of people who had entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. As for the others, they were wandering around the Celestial Lord Temple, waiting for the entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm to open again. After all, they could be killed at any time during the entrance to the upper realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I wonder how Brother Duan and Jia Chao are doing. At this moment, a figure was standing on a pool of boiling lava at the foot of a volcano that was still erupting. The figure belonged to a handsome young man who was holding a 7-foot-long spear in his hand. Based on his expression, it was obvious he was exhausted. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would be able to tell the person was none other than Huang Jialong with just a glance. Huang Jialong was the only friend he had made since he left the borderlands and came to the central area. Based on Huang Jialong's tattered robe, it was clear he had just fought a fierce battle. Based on his current appearance, it was clear he had won the battle. I finally have more than 10 points. Huang Jialong looked at the accumulative point jade in his hand. A bright smile appeared on his face when he saw he had accumulated 11 points. Although Huang Jialong had accumulated more than 10 points, he was still not summoned by the Celestial Lord Temple. It was obvious his speed of accumulating points had exceeded the Celestial Lord Temple's requirement. At this moment, apart from Huang Jialong, many people outside the Celestial Lord Temple had also accumulated more than 10 points. Meanwhile, the people outside the Celestial Lord Temple were still fighting ferociously. Little did they know, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, in a place called the Celestial Lord Temple, a group of people had obtained a great fortuitous encounter. The great opportunity was to comprehend the profundities of the law of time that the South Heaven Immortal Dominator had left behind. That being said, not everyone in the Celestial Lord Temple was comprehending the profundities of the law of time that the Southern Heaven Celestial Emperor had left behind. A small number of people were staying in a small room in the Celestial Lord Palace, not daring to go out at all. Surprisingly, Huang Jiachao was one of them. The reason why these people didn't dare to leave the small room was because their strength was average. The reason why they could enter the Immortal Lord Palace was because someone cheated and brought them in. Just like Huang Jiachao, the reason why Huang Jiachao was able to obtain more than 10 points was entirely because of Duan Lingtian's help. He didn't rely on his own strength to obtain them. In the Immortal Lord Palace, this would be considered as cheating. I wonder how Brother Duan is doing. He must have left the room I'm in and gone to the Celestial Lord Palace to explore. Huang Jiachao thought. With his strength, it shouldn't be difficult for him to survive. Huang Jiachao heaved a sigh of relief. At this moment, Huang Jiachao was unaware that Duan Lingtian was still alive. Currently, Duan Lingtian was living a better life than anyone else in the Celestial Lord Palace. In the sky above the central area of the Scaling Cloud Lake, where the entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm was located, Yong-er, a sorrowful cry rang in the air, attracting the attention of a few people. However, most of them were already numb to such a cry. After all, it was common for people to die in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Those who died were from all sorts of backgrounds. Hu Lin-yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, was looking at the scoreboard as though he was trying his best to find his son, Hu Jiyong's name. However, no matter how hard he searched, he could not find Hu Jiyong's name. It was clear Hu Jiyong had died in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Hu Linyi was still mourning the death of his most outstanding son, when an exclamation suddenly rang in the air, attracting everyone's attention. "There's a new person in the first place." When this exclamation spread out, it immediately caused the gazes of the group of people present to uniformly fall on the scoreboard. Even Hu Lin-yi, who was grieving over Hu Jiyong's death, instinctively shifted his gaze to the scoreboard. Ling Jueyan? Hu Linyi's heart skipped a beat when he saw Murong Xiaoxiao's name was replaced by Ling Jueyan. Then, he instinctively shifted his gaze to the second place on the scoreboard. Duan Lingtian's name was originally second place. However, Ling Jueyan had risen from third place to first place. With this, Duan Lingtian, who was originally second place, was now third place. Hu Linyi's expression turned even more unsightly when he saw this. Just a moment ago his son had died. Now that Duan Lingtian's name had fallen from second place to third place, it was no different from adding insult to injury. However, just as Hu Linyi's heart sank, and he was about to look away from the scoreboard, he was shocked to see that the names of the second and third places on the scoreboard had swapped. Duan Lingtian had returned to second place, while Murong Xiaoxiao had fallen from second place to third place. How's this possible? Apart from the overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials, who had entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, there were two other elders from the Murong clan. Their expressions darkened when they saw Murong Xiaoxiao had fallen from first place to third place in just a blink of an eye. It's been a long time since the top 3 rankings have been changed. I didn't expect Murong Xiaoxiao to go from first place to third place. Ling Jueyan and Duan Lingtian seem to be sectless cultivators from the Thousand Nations territory. Since when are sectless cultivators so strong? These two sectless cultivators are extraordinary. In the past, no sectless cultivators have managed to reach this stage. That's right. No sectless cultivators have managed to reach this stage. However, 2 sectless cultivators managed to climb to the top of the scoreboard this time. Due to Murong Xiaoxiao's fall from first place to third place, the sky above the center of the Scaling Cloud Lake was in an uproar for a long time. About half a month later, the void above the center of the Scaling Cloud Lake rippled as a huge door appeared out of thin air. It was identical to the door that had appeared when the entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm opened. "They're coming out. The entrance to the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm has appeared." It seems like only 30% of the people who entered the lower realm are still alive. The opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, this time, is more tragic than any of the previous times. Upon seeing the huge door, the people hovering above the center of the Scaling Cloud Lake realized that the people from the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm were about to come out. For people who had comprehended 2 profundities from Allah have died during the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. This has never happened before. Sima Chun, Dongfang Jin Luen, Li Yuan, and Yun Zhan were famous peak overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials in the profound Nether Mansion's territory. I didn't expect them to die in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I wonder who killed them. Ling Jueyan? Duan Lingtian? Murong Xiaoxiao? Or did someone join forces with them? I don't know. Among the top 3, Ling Jueyan and Duan Lingtian's points are about the same. Although Murong Xiaoxiao's points are slightly lower, It's only a little more than 10 points. It's not a big difference. There's not much of a difference between the top 4 and the bottom 4. It's hard to tell who killed Sima Chun and the others. Sima Chun, Dongfang Jin Luan, Li Yuan, and Yun Zhan were the most eye-catching people who had died during the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. These 4 people, Sima Chun and Dongfang Jin Luan, were prodigies from their grade 7 clans. Li Yuan was the strongest prodigy in a grade 8 sect in the past 1,000 years. As for Yun Zhan, he was an elder of a grade 8 sect. He had purposely suppressed his cultivation base for the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Apart from that, all 4 of them had comprehended 2 profundities from Allah, and they were extremely powerful. Generally speaking, with the strength of the 4 of them, killing their way into the top 10 of the rankings was as simple as drinking water and eating. However, not only did they fail to rank in the top 10, but they were not even listed on the scoreboard since all of them had died. Perhaps someone joined forces to kill them, or perhaps there's a fortuitous encounter in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm that's difficult to obtain. Perhaps they died, and their points were taken away by someone who was lucky enough to be close to them. Those are 2 possibilities. Many people were still discussing the deaths of Sima Chun, Dongfang Jin Luan, Li Yuan and Yun Zhan. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. At this moment, several figures seemed to have appeared out of thin air in front of a large door. At the same time, those with high cultivation could clearly sense that there was an extremely powerful force that was sending these people out. Where's this? How did I get out? Wasn't I in the snowy mountain? What's going on? Why am I out of the door? Is it over? Why do I feel like I've forgotten something? What's going on? The group of people who were pushed out of the door looked around, as though they had lost their memories. They did not even know how they got out of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. The people who were sent out were those who had entered the Celestial Lord Temple in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Jia Chao. Chapter 30-29. Duan Lingtian was slightly taken aback by his sudden appearance in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. He remembered he had encountered Sima Chun, a member of the Grade 7 Sima clan, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. After killing Sima Chun, he had more than 10 points in his accumulative point jade. His memory was frozen at that moment. Then, he discovered he had been sent out of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I remember I had 11 points in my accumulative point jade after killing Sima Chun. Now, with that thought in mind, Duan Lingtian began to check the points in his accumulative point jade. Alas, he was dumbfounded when he looked at his accumulative point jade. This. Duan Lingtian discovered the points in his accumulative point jade had increased to 286 points. 286 points. What kind of concept was that? This meant he had obtained 285 points from other people, since he only had 1 point when he entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. These 285 points. I even know where 10 of them came from. But where did the other 275 points come from? No matter how hard Duan Lingtian thought about it, he could not figure out where the points came from. Is there something wrong with my accumulative point jade? Duan Lingtian was still thinking about this when he heard a series of exclamations in his ears. Why do I have so many points? If I remember correctly, I only have 12 points. I remember I only had 11 points, but now I have 23 points. I don't think I have any more or less points, but I feel like I've forgotten something. Me too. Among the group of people around Duan Lingtian, many of them were surprised by the number of points they had. Most of them felt as though they had lost their memories. I feel like I've lost a part of my memory as well, Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Swoosh. At this moment, a gray figure in the distance looked left and right for a while, and his face suddenly changed. This was a young man in gray clothes, and if Duan Lingtian saw him, he would definitely be able to recognize him. The gray-clad young man was none other than Ling Juiyan, the genius sectless cultivator from the East Ming nation. He's Ling Juiyan? He's Ling Juiyan, the genius Seckless cultivator, who ranked first in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm? He's really not even 100 years old. He's not even 100 years old, but he's ranked first. Is he strong? Or is he just lucky? Regardless, he's the biggest winner in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm this time. Everyone's attention was focused on Ling Jueyan's group. At this moment, a group of people who had just exited the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm looked at the scoreboard and saw Ling Jueyan was ranked first. However, Ling Jueyan turned a deaf ear to everyone's words. His face was pale as he muttered to himself, "Where's Sister Huang? Where's Sister Huang? Did something happen to Sister Huang? In the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm?" Ling Jueyan's expression darkened when he thought about this. "Moreover, I feel like I've lost a part of my memory. I can't remember it at all." Ling Jueyan looked at his accumulative point jade and discovered there were 298 points in it. Where did I get these points from? I only remember that I got 14 points. I don't seem to remember anything after that. A hint of confusion could be seen in Ling Jueyan's eyes when he realized he could not remember where he obtained so many points. Duan Lingtian and the others were still in a state of panic when Zhangsun Xiongqi, the elder of the Zhangsun clan, said, "Calm down. There's no need to panic. In the history of the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, there are many people who have encountered similar situations. It's all due to a fortuitous encounter in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm. Most of those who encountered the fortuitous encounter would not remember anything about it. However, after they exited the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, they would discover their points and their spatial rings. Apart from that, there are also some people who managed to comprehend the law of time through the fortuitous encounter." When Zhangsun Xiongqi finished speaking, the eyes of the people who had just exited the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, including Duan Lingtian, lit up. The law of time? The law of time was the most mysterious and peculiar law among the four great laws of heaven and earth. It would be great news if one could comprehend the law of time. The law of time. Upon hearing Zhangsun Xiongqi's words, a series of memories suddenly appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. And these memory fragments all revolved around time. Time deceleration, time acceleration, and time stoppage. This is the law of time. Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. At this moment, a childish voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind. "Boy, there's a formation in the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm that can erase certain memories. Now, let me tell you what the memory you lost is." The owner of the voice was none other than the Chaos Divine Earth. "Tell little Feng that I'm fine as well. He's also lost his memories. He'll be worried when he realizes I'm no longer in his sea of consciousness." At this moment, a woman's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's mind. "Who are you?" He was fine when he heard the Chaos Divine Earth's voice. After all, he knew that the Chaos Divine Earth was in his body. However, when he heard the woman's voice in his mind, his expression changed drastically. When did this person appear in his sea of consciousness? The spiritual sea was where his soul was located. Normally, the profound divine metal would protect his spiritual sea, so nothing could enter his spiritual sea. But now, a voice had suddenly appeared in his spiritual sea. Moreover, it also meant a life. How could he not be shocked and anxious? "Boy, don't panic. You'll know who she is once I'm done explaining. You little girl, don't panic. Once this boy learns about what happened, he'll help you," warn Ling Jueyan, the Chaos Divine Earth said. Upon hearing the Chaos Divine Earth's voice, Duan Lingtian heaved a sigh of relief. The woman's voice in Duan Lingtian's sea of consciousness did not speak again. It was clear she was obedient to the Chaos Divine Earth. "Boy, after you killed Sima Chun from the 7th grade Sima clan, you accumulated 11 points in your accumulative points jade token," the Chaos Divine Earth said. "At that time, you heard a voice left behind by the Southern Heaven Celestial Lord. You learned about the location of the Celestial Lord Temple and made your way to the Celestial Lord Temple. During this process, you met that kid called Huang Jiachao. At that time, he was on the verge of death, and it was you who saved him. After that, after listening to the Chaos Divine Earth's explanation, Duan Ling Tian finally found out what he was missing from his memory. At the same time, he also found out why he had so many points. As it turns out, after killing Sima Chun, I also killed Dongfang Jin Luan and Li Yuan. Similar to Sima Chun, both of them had comprehended 2 profundities from a law. As for Ling Jueyin, he's from the Divine Offering Land. Huang, used to be the soul of a prominent Devata artifact, before she decided to serve me as the soul of the 7 Orifices exquisite sword. Apart from that, I promised her that I'll avenge her original master, as long as I'm capable of doing so. Of course, that's only if that person deserves to die. After listening to the Chaos Divine Earth's explanation, Duan Ling Tian finally regained his lost memories. However, he did not find them familiar at all. After all, although the memories were originally his, they had been erased by the formation in the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. For this reason, he still found the memories to be unfamiliar. Nevertheless, he did not doubt the Chaos Divine Earth's words, since it was the Chaos Divine Earth who told him the truth. Moreover, based on what the Chaos Divine Earth had told him, Duan Ling Tian took a look at his spatial ring and discovered that the items he had obtained from the Chaos Divine Earth matched what it had told him. Does this mean that I obtained the best opportunity to comprehend the profundities of the laws of time in the Time Canyon? Jia Chao only managed to come out with us because I cheated and helped him enter the Celestial Lord Temple. He only managed to come out alive because he didn't leave the small room in the Celestial Lord Temple. With this thought in mind, Duan Ling Tian looked at Huang Jia Chao again and saw Huang Jia Chao walking toward him. Brother Duan, I remember that you were the one who saved me at that time. However, after you saved me and communicated with me, my memory seems to have completely disappeared. Huang Jia Chao asked with a confused expression on his face. Do you remember what happened after that? Duan Ling Tian shook his head. Although he knew what happened after that, he did not intend to tell Huang Jia Chao about it. After all, the fewer people who knew about it, the better. Ling Jueyin. Duan Ling Tian turned to look at Ling Jueyin, who had an unsightly expression on his face. It was obvious Ling Jueyin was not happy about being ranked first. Instead, he seemed to be troubled. He must have discovered Huang Er's disappearance. I didn't expect this brat to be from the Divine Offering Land and possess an Emperor-grade celestial weapon and a divine weapon. Chapter 30:30. Duan Ling Tian finally understood why the voice in his mind had asked him to contact Ling Jueyin and tell him that she was fine. Ling Jueyin. Duan Ling Tian immediately contacted Ling Jueyin through voice transmission. When Ling Jueyin looked at him with a confused expression on his face, Duan Ling Tian began to tell him everything that had happened after they met. He began to recount how Huang had left Ling Jueyin's mind after the first test in the Celestial Lord Temple ended. Duan Ling Tian also told Ling Jueyin everything that had happened after that. In order to convince Ling Jueyin, Duan Ling Tian also mentioned the purely defensive Emperor-grade celestial weapon that Ling Jueyin had used in the Celestial Lord Temple in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, and the divine weapon that he had used in the Time Canyon. The sword that Ling Jueyin had used in the Time Canyon was a divine weapon. Although it was only a primitive divine weapon, its strength was not inferior to an Emperor-grade celestial weapon in the slightest. Ling Jueyin did not doubt Duan Ling Tian's words. His gaze softened as he looked at Duan Ling Tian. However, Duan Ling Tian and Ling Jueyin were the only ones who knew what had happened in the Celestial Lord Temple. The others who were sent out of the Celestial Lord Temple with Duan Ling Tian had no recollection of what had happened in the Celestial Lord Temple. Even Morong Xiao Xiao was confused when she was sent out of the Celestial Lord Temple. She could not recall what had happened. 232 points. So many points, but he still hasn't reached the top of the rankings? Morong Xiao Xiao glanced at her accumulative point jade before she looked at the top 3 names on the scoreboard. She was ranked 3rd. First place, Ling Jueyin, 298 points. Second place, Duan Ling Tian, 286 points. Morong Xiao Xiao frowned. She had never heard of these two people before. It was obvious they were not famous in the profound nether mansion. Nevertheless, she was still shocked by the fact that two unknown people ranked first and second in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Second Mississippi. At this moment, the two elders of the Morong family walked towards Morong Xiao Xiao. When Morong Xiao Xiao saw the two of them, she also walked towards them. Morong Xiao Xiao was not only a rare genius disciple of the Morong family, but she was also the only daughter of the current head of the Morong family. As a woman, she was better than a man. Second Miss, you really don't remember what happened inside at all? An elder of the Morong family asked. I only remember how I got 12 points. I can't remember anything else. It's just that I didn't expect that even though I got 232 points, I still couldn't get first place. Morong Xiao Xiao shook her head at first, but after that, she couldn't help but sigh. Elders, do you know who those two people are? Morong Xiao Xiao looked at the first and second names on the scoreboard and asked the two Morong family elders in front of her. Second Miss, both of them are Seckless cultivators. Ling Juoyan is a Seckless cultivator from the East Ming Nation in the Thousand Nations territory. As for Duan Lingtian, he's a Seckless cultivator from the Supporting Fall Nation in the Thousand Nations territory. One of the Morong family's elders replied. Second Young Miss, both of them aren't ordinary Seckless cultivators. Not only are they ranked first and second in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, but they're both younger than 100 years old. The other elder from the Morong family chimed in. What? Younger than 100 years old? If it was said that the words of the Morong family elder from before had only slightly surprised Morong Xiao Xiao. However, the words of the Morong family elder after that completely shocked Morong Xiao Xiao. Not only were the two people ranked higher than her Seckless cultivators, but they were also younger than 100 years old. Ling Juoyan. After taking a deep breath, Morong Xiao Xiao followed the gazes of the people in the surroundings and confirmed Ling Juoyan's location. She immediately looked at him. She discovered Ling Juoyan was indeed younger than 100 years old. And Duan Lingtian, Morong Xiao Xiao murmured to herself. Then, she looked at Duan Lingtian and discovered Duan Lingtian was indeed younger than Ling Juoyan. Duan Lingtian instinctively turned to look at Morong Xiao Xiao. At the same time, the Chaos Divine Earth's voice rang in his mind. That woman is Morong Xiao Xiao. Morong Xiao Xiao. Realization dawned on Duan Lingtian. He had heard the Chaos Divine Earth mention this name before. He knew Morong Xiao Xiao had tried to curry favor with him in the Time Canyon, but she had ignored him when she found out he couldn't do anything to her in the Time Canyon. Based on her gaze, it's obvious she doesn't remember me. When Duan Lingtian looked at Morong Xiao Xiao, it was not difficult for him to see the way she looked at him. It was as though she was looking at a stranger for the first time. Those who have come out of the Time Canyon, please return to your respective sections. Zhangsun Xiongqi, an elder of the Zhangsun clan from the 3 sects and 2 clans said. Duan Lingtian, and the others quickly left the entrance of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Duan Lingtian and Huang Jiachao returned to Hulin Yi, the emperor of the Supporting Fall Nation. Ling Juoyan returned to the emperor of the East Ming Nation as well. Duan Lingtian, congratulations. Hulin Yi smiled brightly when he saw Duan Lingtian returning after ranking second on the scoreboard. It seemed as though he had forgotten about his son, Hu Jiyong's death. Jiachao, you did well as well. You managed to rank in the top 100. After greeting Duan Lingtian, Hulin Yi turned to look at Huang Jiachao and said with a smile. Ha! The 4th prince's name. At the same time, Huang Jiachao, who had been observing the scoreboard, discovered his 4th brother, Huang Jialong's name on the scoreboard. However, the 4th prince of the Supporting Fall Nation, Hu Jiyong, was nowhere to be seen. This meant there was only one possibility. Hu Jiyong had died. Huang Jiachao gasped inwardly as he looked at Hulin Yi warily. Yonger has died, Hulin Yi said in a deep voice when he noticed Huang Jiachao's gaze. My condolences, Your Majesty. Huang Jiachao hurriedly comforted him. Meanwhile, many people in the surroundings saw Duan Lingtian returning to the emperor of the Supporting Fall Nation. Congratulations, Emperor Hu. Emperor Hu, You're really lucky to have such a monstrous sectless cultivator like Duan Lingtian to help you. Emperor Hu, I'm sure you'll be rewarded handsomely this time. You're ranked second on the scoreboard. Since you're the one who recommended Duan Lingtian, you'll be rewarded handsomely, Emperor Hu. A hint of jealousy could be seen in the eyes of many people as they congratulated Emperor Hu. Although some of them seemed to be congratulating Emperor Hu, they were inwardly cursing Emperor Hu for being so lucky. The 3 sects and 2 clans would reward those who recommended Duan Lingtian based on the scoreboard. The higher one's ranking was, the more generous the reward would be. Since Duan Lingtian was ranked second on the scoreboard, Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, would be rewarded handsomely, second only to the emperor of the East Ming Nation. The emperor of the East Ming Nation, on the other hand, would be rewarded handsomely since Ling Juyin was ranked first on the scoreboard. Zhu Yin, you didn't disappoint me. The emperor of the East Ming Nation welcomed Ling Juyin back to the emperor of the East Ming Nation, with a bright smile on his face. He was still in a daze when he learned Ling Juyin was ranked first on the scoreboard. Although he knew Ling Juyin was strong, he did not expect Ling Juyin to be ranked in the top 10, let alone the first place. Meanwhile, Morong Xiao, who was ranked third on the scoreboard, was surrounded by many people who were flattering and congratulating her. Congratulations, Miss Morong, for ranking third on the scoreboard. With Miss Morong's innate talent, it'll be easy for you to join the profound Nether Mansion with the help of the 3 sects and 2 clans. I'm sure you'll have a bright future in the profound Nether Mansion as well. Congratulations, Miss Morong. Congratulations, Miss Morong. Morong Xiao merely nodded indifferently in response to the flattery. Her eyes remained fixed on Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin. She still could not accept the fact that they were ranked first and second on the scoreboard. Who's the one who killed my Chun? At this moment, an old man dressed in gray was looking at Ling Juyin, Duan Lingtian, Morong Xiao, and the other 7 people in the top 10. It was as though he was looking for something. He was none other than Sima Pingdong, the Grand Elder of the Grade 7 Sima clan. He was looking for the culprit among Duan Lingtian and the others who had killed his grandson Sima Chun. On the other side, the members of the Dongfang clan were also looking at Duan Lingtian and the others. Similar to Sima Pingdong, they wanted to find the culprit who had killed Dongfang Jin Luan. Li Yuan. Who killed him? Who killed Elder Yunzhan? The 2 great 8 sects behind Li Yuan and Yunzhan were also trying to find the person who killed Li Yuan and Yunzhan from Duan Lingtian's group. No matter who it is, I, Sima Pingdong, and the Sima clan will reward you handsomely if you can provide us with any clues about the culprit who killed my grandson Sima Chun. Sima Pingdong said loudly. His voice was like a clap of thunder that resounded through the central area of the scaling cloud lake. The Dongfang clan will also reward you handsomely if you can provide any clues about the culprit who killed Dongfang Jin Luan. After Sima Pingdong, the people from the Dongfang clan, the Grade 7 Dongfang clan also announced. The 2 of them spoke one after another, revealing their determination to find the culprit. It would be fine if the person who had died this time was just an ordinary disciple of their clan. However, the person who had died this time was the most outstanding disciple in their clan. Chapter 30-31. It seems like the 2 of you don't respect the 3 sects and 2 clans at all. After the cold snort, a cold voice sounded. Once it entered everyone's ears, it made them feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. As soon as the voice fell swoosh, a gust of wind blew past. In the next moment, under the gazes of the crowd, a figure seemed to appear out of thin air in front of the Sima family's grand elder, Sima Pingdong. Bihai Mingfeng. By the time Sima Pingdong regained his senses, the person in front of him had already attacked at lightning speed. Swoosh! Just as Sima Pingdong's celestial origin energy was about to surge out of his body, the person in front of him raised his hand and spun a writing brush in his hand. In the next moment, boom! Rumble! The celestial origin energy that Sima Pingdong had just released was destroyed in one fell swoop. Then the celestial origin energy enveloped Sima Ping Dong. With a sweep of its tail, Sima Ping Dong's body exploded, turning into a bloody mist that filled the sky. All that was left was a singlet and a storage ring. Swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, everyone, including Duan Ling Tian, felt a terrifying shockwave sweep out. And then it transformed into gusts of wind that swept out in all directions and blew at the clothes on their bodies. Those who were standing close to the scene narrowed their eyes and retreated hastily. He's dead. Duan Lingtian's eyes widened slightly. He did not expect the person from the Sima clan would be killed in just a blink of an eye. The person who killed the Sima Ping Dong was so swift and clean that it was shocking. The Grand Elder of the Sima clan died just like that? The Grand Elder of the Sima clan is one of the top powerhouses in the Sima clan. However, he couldn't even withstand a single blow from the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect? Even if he was unprepared, he shouldn't be so helpless, right? It's normal. The third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect is even stronger than the first sect leader of the coupling celestial sect. He's also one of the 10 inspectors of the profound nether mansion. The Grand Elder of the Sima clan is really unlucky. If it were someone else from the coupling celestial sect, the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect would only reprimand him for his actions. However, the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect is also an inspector of the profound nether mansion. Bihai Mifeng, the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect, had killed Sima Ping Dong, the Grand Elder of the Sima clan. At this time, the people of the rank 8 sects behind Li Yuan and Yun Zhan all secretly wiped away their cold sweat. Fortunately, they did not have the time to speak. Otherwise, they would have been targeted by the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect. At that time, they would have died without a burial ground. Sima Ping Dong's strength was far superior to theirs, but he still died, let alone them? Great Elder. The other elder of the Sima family had personally witnessed the death of the Great Elder, Sima Ping Dong, but he could only smile bitterly. There was nothing he could do. He's from the Eastern Fang clan. After Bihai Mingfeng killed Sima Ping Dong, many people shifted their attention to the person from the Eastern Fang clan who had spoken earlier. Earlier, someone from the Eastern Fang clan had also spoken after Sima Ping Dong's death. His words were a clear violation of the rules in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. As expected, after killing Sima Ping Dong, Bihai Mingfeng disappeared from his spot under everyone's watchful eyes. When he reappeared, he was already standing in front of the person from the Eastern Fang clan. The person who had spoken earlier was an ordinary elder from the Eastern Fang clan. His expression changed drastically when he saw Sima Ping Dong being killed. When he saw Bihai Mingfeng appear before him, his complexion immediately turned pale. There was no trace of blood in his face. Third sect leader, please spare my life. Third sect leader, please spare my life. The elder from the Eastern Fang clan knelt in the air and repeatedly kowtowed as he begged Bihai Mingfeng for mercy. Even if Sima Ping Dong was fully prepared, it would be easy for him to kill the elder from the Eastern Fang clan. For someone who could kill Sima Ping Dong with just a blow, killing the elder from the Eastern Fang clan would be as easy as stepping on an ant. However, Bihai Mingfeng's expression remained indifferent when he heard the elder from the Eastern Fang clan begging for mercy. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Bihai Mingfeng raised his hand again and pointed his brush at the air. In the next moment, swoosh, a sharp ray of light whizzed out from the tip of the brush, making a sound like the whistle of a sword. It streaked across the sky like a meteor. Spurt. In the next instant, the crowd saw that the Dongfang clan's elder, who was kowtowing non-stop, had just raised his head when a bloody hole appeared in between his eyebrows. His eyes fell to the ground, and he died with grievance. After killing Sima Ping Dong, the Grand Elder of the Sima clan, Bihai Mifeng had taken Sima Ping Dong's spatial ring and vest. However, after killing the elder from the Eastern Fang clan, he did not take Sima Ping Dong's spatial ring and defensive celestial weapon. It was as though he did not care about Sima Ping Dong's spatial ring and defensive celestial weapon at all. In fact, Bihai Mingfeng was right. With Bihai Mingfeng's status and wealth, even Sima Ping Dong, the Grand Elder of the Sima clan, could not compare to him. It was only natural that he would not be interested in the spatial ring of an ordinary elder from the Eastern Fang clan. After killing the elder from the Eastern Fang clan, Bihai Mingfeng returned to the palanquin in just a blink of an eye. Sect leader Bihai, I'm afraid most of the people who came out of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm will only want to join the coupling celestial sect now. Zhang Guangzheng, one of the vice sect leaders of the Simplicity Celestial sect, said with a bitter smile on his face. That's right, sect leader Bihai. That's not very nice of you. Hung Chan, the pavilion master of the Arhat Hall from the Cloud Platform Celestial sect, chimed in unhappily. The Zhangsun brothers from the Zhangsun clan and Gong Yangyu from the Gong Yang clan remained silent, but they could only smile bitterly at the side. The third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect had displayed his prowess, but they had done nothing. If they were in Bihai Mingfeng's shoes, they would be more willing to join a sect with such a powerhouse. Isn't it because I saw that after Sima Pingdong spoke, although you all looked dissatisfied, you didn't intend to attack, so I attacked? Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Zhang Guangzheng and Hung Chan before he said indifferently, since both of you didn't want to make a move, I had no choice but to make a move. Upon hearing Bihai Mingfeng's words, Zhang Guangzheng and Hung Chan could only smile bitterly. They wanted to make a move as well. However, Sima Pingdong was not any weaker than them. Even if they made a move, it would only end in a stalemate. If Sima Pingdong decided to flee, they would not be able to stop him with their strength. If Sima Pingdong fled, it would be even more embarrassing than if they did not make a move. For this reason, after weighing the pros and cons, they did not make a move. After Bihai Mifeng made a move, the remaining people from the Sima clan and the Dongfang clan behaved themselves. The two people from the Grade 8 sects behind Li Yuan and Yun Zhan also behaved themselves. They did not even dare to look at Duan Lingtian, Ling Juiyan, Morong Xiao Xiao, and the others. Someone's coming out again. A moment later, a cry of surprise rang out. Many people saw another figure appear outside the door that floated in the air. Not long after, figures came out one after another. Jialong soon after, Duan Lingtian saw Huang Jialong emerging from the door. Apart from that, Duan Lingtian knew Huang Jialong was fine since his name was still on the scoreboard. Moreover, Huang Jialong had more points than Huang Jiachao. Unlike Huang Jiachao who relied on Duan Lingtian, Huang Jialong had obtained all his points on his own. This time, out of the 9 people from the supporting Fall Nation who entered, only 4 survived. Apart from the 3 of us, there's also Meng Qiuyu. Upon seeing Huang Jialong, Duan Lingtian glanced at the scoreboard and saw Meng Qiuyu's name. Meng Qiuyu was one of the 2 women among the 9 people from the supporting Fall Nation who had entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm with an old woman who was a celestial king. Brother Duan. As soon as Huang Jialong came out, he made his way to Duan Lingtian and the others. After greeting Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, he began to chat with Duan Lingtian. Brother Duan, how many points did you obtain? Huang Jialong asked curiously. At the same time, he waved the accumulative point jade in his hand proudly and said, I have 22 points. See for yourself. Duan Lingtian shrugged nonchalantly when he heard Huang Jialong's question. At the same time, he looked at the scoreboard in the distance. Huang Jialong followed Duan Lingtian's gaze and looked at the scoreboard. Look at it from the top. When Huang Jialong's eyes landed on the scoreboard, Huang Jiachao reminded him. Huang Jialong shifted his gaze to the top of the scoreboard. First place, Ling Juiyan 298 points. Huang Jialong could not help but curse when he saw the first row. F*CK. That genius sectless cultivator from the East Ming Nation is so freakish? First place? How did he do it? Don't worry about that. Just look at the scoreboard. Huang Jiachao reminded him. Huang Jialong suppressed his shock and continued to look at the scoreboard. He was stunned when he saw the scoreboard. Second place, Duan Lingtian, 286 points. Once these words fell into his eyes, they seemed to contain an extremely powerful force that continuously attacked his eyeballs. Be brother Duan, why you're in second place? After a while, Huang Jialong looked at Duan Lingtian in disbelief. What did you do? I just did it. That's all. Duan Lingtian shrugged again, and said with a casual expression. Swoosh. Meng Qiuyu exited the lower realm of the southern heaven ancient realm, and returned to the old woman's side as a fragrant breeze blew in the air. Chapter 30-32. Meng Qiuyu actually obtained 31 points. That's even more than Jialong. Duan Lingtian looked at Meng Qiuyu in surprise. It seems like she hit her strength during the Southern Heaven combat. 31 points. Among those who did not enter the Celestial Lord Temple, this was considered a lot. She even made it into the top 100. Duan Lingtian second place? When Meng Qiuyu came out and saw the second place on the scoreboard, she could not help but look at Duan Lingtian in shock. Although she knew Duan Lingtian was extraordinary, she did not expect him to be the strongest among the overarching heavenly supreme celestials in the supporting Fall Nation. The profound Nether Mansion was huge. There were more than 1,000 Grade 8 celestial kingdoms like the supporting Fall Nation, Grade 8 forces, and even more powerful Grade 7 forces. It was precisely because of this that she was so shocked that she was unable to regain her senses for a long time when Duan Lingtian was ranked second. Play around. Huang Jialong was stunned by Duan Lingtian's words. When he regained his senses, the corner of his mouth twitched uncontrollably when he looked at Duan Lingtian again. Huang Jialong had risked his life to obtain 22 points in the profound Nether Mansion. However, Duan Lingtian said he only played around and obtained 286 points. Huang Jialong rolled his eyes at Duan Lingtian. Then he changed the topic and asked, Brother Duan, have you made up your mind? Which of the 3 sects and 2 clans do you want to join? My suggestion is, don't join the Zhongsung clan and the Gongyang clan. Even if you join the profound Nether Mansion, they won't treat you as well as their lineal disciples. They might put in some effort to get you to join the profound Nether Mansion, but there's a limit to how much they can do. On the other hand, the Simplicity Celestial Sect, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, and the Coupling Celestial Sect are different. Since they're sects, they'll definitely invest a lot of resources into you in order to recruit you. Huang Jialong said. I think so too. Duan Lingtian nodded. He had already thought about what Huang Jialong said, so he didn't consider joining the Gongyang clan or Zhongsung clan. Why don't you join the Coupling Celestial Sect with me? Not only does the Coupling Celestial Sect have a powerful third sect master like Bihai Mifeng, but they also have many female disciples and top-grade sect slaves. Huang Jialong continued. His eyes sparkled like 2 bright stars in the night sky. Duan Lingtian naturally knew what Huang Jialong was referring to. Huang Jialong was referring to beautiful women who had no cultivation base. They were raised by the Coupling Celestial Sect as cultivation furnaces for the male disciples of the Coupling Celestial Sect. Of course, those cultivation furnaces were all willing to become cultivation furnaces. The Coupling Celestial Sect was very good at this. They never forced anyone to do anything. For this reason, although the Coupling Celestial Sect had a bad reputation in the profound Nether Mansion, no one thought of it as an evil sect. I think you're just after the female disciples and the sex slaves of the Coupling Celestial Sect, right? Duan Lingtian said angrily. Haha. Huang Jialong laughed awkwardly when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. Then, he looked at Huang Jiachao and said, Jiachao, you're quite lucky. Not only did you come out alive, but you even managed to accumulate 17 points. Before entering the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, Huang Jialong had no idea how dangerous it was. It was only after he survived that he realized how dangerous the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm was. In fact, he even thought his 5th brother, Huang Jiachao, might have died in there. Yes, I'm quite lucky. If it weren't for Brother Duan, I would have died in there, Huang Jiachao said with a sigh. At the same time, he looked at Duan Lingtian gratefully. If it weren't for Duan Lingtian, he would not be standing here right now. What happened? Huang Jialong thanked Duan Lingtian profusely after he learned about what had happened. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, was thinking about something else when he heard Huang Jialong's words. If the Chaos Divine Earth did not tell him that he had saved Huang Jiaqiao, he would not have known that he had saved Huang Jiaqiao's life. After all, the moment he learned about the Celestial Lord Temple in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, his memory of the Celestial Lord Temple had been erased. Huang Jiaqiao only remembered the Celestial Lord Temple after Duan Lingtian had saved him. After Huang Jiaqiao found out about the Immortal Lord Palace, he lost all his memories. He couldn't remember what had happened. Both of you have amnesia? Huang Jialong was shocked when he learned that both Duan Lingtian and Huang Jiaqiao had lost their memories in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. After all, from the moment he entered the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm until now, he had not lost any of his memories. Yes, Huang Jiaqiao nodded and said, Brother Duan and I, as well as some of the stronger people, were the first to be sent out. We don't even know where we were sent out from. Huang Jiaqiao had a bitter smile on his face as he was still in a daze. He had no idea what had happened after that. Although both of you have amnesia, didn't Elder Zhangsun Xiongqi from the Zhangsun clan say that? Those who have lost their memories have obtained great fortuitous encounters. At this moment, the old man standing next to Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, said, There's a chance that those who have lost their memories will be able to comprehend the law of time. As soon as the old man finished speaking, Hu Lin Yi said, The chances of that happening are very slim. At the very least, in the past 10,000 years, no one in the profound Nether Mansion has managed to comprehend the law of time in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, in recent years, there have been people in Grade 6 celestial mansions who managed to comprehend the law of time's fundamental profundity, the time elemental profundity, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. It was clear Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, was familiar with this matter. For this reason, both of you should stop thinking about the law of time. It's good that you've comprehended it. It's normal that you haven't comprehended it. Hu Lin Yi comforted Duan Lingtian and Huang Jiaqiao as he looked at them. Both of them nodded in agreement. His Majesty is right. The law of time is the strongest of the four supreme laws. It's not something that ordinary people can comprehend. Huang Jialong nodded in agreement with Hu Lin Yi's words. I feel like my comprehension of the law of time is quite deep. In fact, I think it's very likely that I'll be able to comprehend the law of time. When Duan Lingtian thought about his comprehension of the law of time, he was certain that he would be able to comprehend the law of time. He was looking forward to it. The law of time was the strongest of the four supreme laws. It was superior to the law of space, the law of life, and the law of death. Naturally, everyone wanted to comprehend the law of time, including Duan Lingtian. As time passed, more and more people came out of the lower realm. 10 days later, everyone who had survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm had come out. The door that was hovering in the air had also disappeared, as though it was never there. Now all the overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials who survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, please step forward and present your accumulative point jade. The host, Zhangsun Xiongqi, stepped forward and announced. Everyone, including Duan Lingtian, stepped forward and took out their accumulative point jades. Although the accumulative jade tokens in everyone's hands were divided into 4 colors, it was not difficult to tell which color had the most accumulative jade tokens at a glance. Gentlemen, I'm sorry, but the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect won. Hung Chan from the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect glanced at the accumulative point jade in everyone's hands before he looked at Bihai Mingfeng, Zhang Guangjing, Zhangsun Xiongqi, and Gong Yangyu with a smile on his face. Currently, most of the accumulative point jades in the hands of Duan Lingtian, and the others were made of golden jades. The golden jades were the accumulative point jades, distributed by the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect. Every time the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm opened, the 3 sects and 2 clans would set up a bet with each other. The participants were betting on which sect would have the most accumulative point jades when they came out of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm with the most accumulative point jades. The sect with the most accumulative point jades in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm would lose to the sect with the most accumulative point jades. Humph! Zhang Guangzheng scoffed before he tossed a spatial ring to Heng Chan. On the other hand, Bihai Mingfeng calmly tossed a spatial ring to Heng Chan. It was as though he did not care about losing the bet at all. In fact, he did not care about the bet at all. After all, the bet belonged to the coupling celestial sect, not him. What he cared about the most now was this. Would the coupling celestial sect be able to recruit the 3 most outstanding celestial sect disciples? Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Ling Juyin, Duan Lingtian, and Morong Xiaoxiao. He did not pay any attention to Morong Xiaoxiao because she was a woman. Instead, he shifted his attention to Ling Juyin and Duan Lingtian. Which sect do you plan to join? A voice transmission suddenly rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian immediately looked to his left. Ling Juyin stood there and stared at him. What? Do you want to join the same sect as me? Duan Lingtian asked through voice transmission. Yes. Ling Juyin replied. Why? Duan Lingtian asked again. I'm afraid Sister Huang, will be implicated if you die. Ling Juyin did not beat around the bush. Huang, used to be the sword soul of his sister's prominent divine sword. She had been separated from the prominent divine sword, and had yet to fully recover. Currently, she was residing in Duan Lingtian's body. She had yet to fully integrate with Duan Lingtian's prominent divine sword. If Duan Lingtian died, it was almost impossible for Huang, to survive. Duan Lingtian was speechless when he heard Ling Juyin's words. Chapter 30-33. Tell him that I don't want him to join the same force as you. Both of you need to train on your own. Huang, said to Ling, She continued to say to Duan Lingtian. If both of you are together, you won't be able to train on your own anymore. Based on her words, it was clear she did not want Duan Lingtian and Ling Juyin to join the same force. In fact, even if we join different forces, we'll still go to the profound nether mansion together. However, you're right. At the very least, before we go to the profound nether mansion, if we're not together, we'll have to face everything on our own. Duan Lingtian decided to respect Huang, wishes and relate her words to Ling Juyin. Since Huang, was currently in Duan Lingtian's sea of consciousness, she could not communicate with Ling Juyin directly. Therefore, she could only rely on Duan Lingtian to relay her words to him. Please tell Big Sister Huang, that I understand. Ling Juyin's expression was slightly unsightly, but he nodded. It was clear he had no intention of going against Huang's wishes. Now, the top 3 participants and the representatives of the forces that have recommended them to enter the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, please come to me. Zhang Sun Xiongqi said loudly as he looked at Duan Lingtian, Ling Juyin, and Morong Xiaoxiao. The 3 of them stepped out of the void immediately. They were none other than Hu Lin Yi, the emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, the emperor of the East Ming Nation, and an elder from the Morong clan. Zhang Sun Xiongqi had asked Duan Lingtian and the others to step forward to give out their rewards. The first reward was Ling Juyin and the emperor of the East Ming Nation. They were each given a spatial ring. Only they knew what was inside the spatial ring. However, based on the overjoyed expression on the emperor of the East Ming Nation's face, after he accepted the spatial ring and claimed it as his master, it was obvious the spatial ring contained a bountiful reward. Many people looked at the emperor of the East Ming Nation enviously. Naturally, these people were the representatives of Grade 8 and Grade 9 forces. As for the representatives of Grade 7 forces, they did not think much of it. A reward that could tempt a leader of a Grade 8 force was nothing to a Grade 7 force. The emperor of the East Ming Nation, the emperor of a Grade 8 celestial kingdom, is inferior to a young man who's younger than 100 years old. Duan Ling Juyin's disciple from a Grade 8 celestial kingdom. He said this because Ling Juyin's expression remained calm after he claimed ownership of Zhang Sun Xiongqi's spatial ring. It was as though he did not care about the contents of the spatial ring at all. After all, the S's, the reward, the rewards, 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 the T's. S Duant Emperors, Duan merit to T. S Emperor Lu, go ahead and be jealous. Haha. The Emperor of the East Ming Nation did not mind being mocked by the Emperor of the 8th grade Celestial Nation. Instead, he laughed loudly. That was because the Emperor of the East Ming Nation was his sworn enemy. He was only mocking him because of jealousy. However, there were still many people who were surprised by Ling Juyan's composure. Not to mention Ling Juyan's innate talent and comprehension ability, his ability to remain unperturbed, even in the face of a great wave, will definitely make him a genius in the Southern Heaven territory in the future. Hung Chan from the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect looked at Ling Juyan with admiration in his eyes. If he had been a peak overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, he would not have been able to remain so calm when faced with the rewards that Ling Juyan had received. What? Hung Chan, are you interested in this little fellow as well? Bihai Mingfeng asked Hung Chan. Of course. If he's willing to join the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, we'll do our best to nurture him, even if he has to leave the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect for the profound Nether Mansion. The Cloud Platform Celestial Sect is willing to form a good relationship with him. After Hung Chan finished speaking, he clasped his hands together and looked away from Ling Juyan. Then he closed his eyes and looked at Hung Chan sincerely. Old bald donkey Hung Chan, you're really scheming. This brat is destined to become a powerhouse in the Southern Heaven territory in the future. Aren't you betting on the benefits that he'll bring to the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect by forming a good relationship with him? Zhang Guangzheng from the Simplicity Celestial Sect said, as he looked at Hung Chan disdainfully. You don't have to act all pitiful in front of us. Do you think we don't know what you're thinking? Gong Yangyu, who was standing at the side, felt like laughing when he saw Zhang Guangzheng did not give Hung Chan any face at all. As for Bihai Mingfeng, although his expression did not change, he also glanced at Hung Chan with a disdainful look in his eyes. Naturally, both Bihai Mingfeng and Zhang Guangzheng admired Ling Juyan's character. However, if they knew Ling Juyan possessed an emperor-grade celestial weapon, or even a divine artifact, they would not have such thoughts. Even if the rewards from the 3 sects and 2 clans could be of some use to someone who possessed an emperor-grade celestial weapon, or even a divine artifact, it would not be enough to make him happy. Meanwhile, after Ling Juyan and the Emperor of the East Ming Nation received their rewards, Duan Lingtian and Hu Lin Yi, the Emperor of the supporting Fall Nation, each received a spatial ring. Hu Lin Yi's face flushed with excitement after the storage ring claimed ownership of the ring. At this moment, it was as though he had completely forgotten about his son's death. Duan Lingtian glanced at the spatial ring. There were no king-grade celestial weapons inside, only celestial talismans and a few pill bottles. Beside the celestial talismans were memory celestial talismans. Duan Lingtian probed the spatial ring with his divine consciousness. Thunderbolt Talisman. It contains 2 profundities from the law of thunder. It's inscribed by a celestial king. Once crushed, it can kill most celestial dukes. Spring Rain Talisman. It contains 2 profundities from the law of wood. It's inscribed by a celestial king. Shadow Void Escaping Talisman. Among the celestial talismans, the Shadow Void Escaping Talisman was one that Duan Lingtian had come across before. The Shadow Void Escaping Talisman was a common celestial talisman. It was common even in the Borderlands. However, other celestial talismans were rare in the Borderlands. The 3 sects and 2 clans didn't give me any celestial weapons. Instead, they gave me these celestial talismans. It seems like they think I don't lack celestial weapons, since I'm from the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. Duan Lingtian was not surprised that he was rewarded with a pile of celestial talismans and pill bottles that contained celestial pills. Based on my ranking, it's not difficult for them to guess that I've obtained some king-grade celestial weapons that have been nurtured by celestial lords. Under such circumstances, the celestial weapons they gave me are just icing on the cake. After all, they can only give me celestial weapons that are similar to the ones I obtained in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. However, I'm afraid they don't know that not only did I obtain many celestial weapons, but I also obtained many pills and celestial talismans in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. For this reason, Duan Lingtian remained calm when he saw the rewards given to him by the 3 sects and 2 clans. Upon seeing how calm Duan Lingtian was after receiving his rewards, those who were paying attention to him began to think highly of him. Duan Lingtian isn't as simple as he seems. It's rare for a sectless cultivator to be so calm at such a time. Duan Lingtian and Lingjuyan are definitely dark horses in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. I wonder where these 2 sectless cultivators came from. I have a feeling they're not sectless cultivators. The crowd discussed among themselves. Based on their discussions, they felt Duan Lingtian and Lingjuyan were not sectless cultivators. After all, their strength at such a young age was not something a sectless cultivator should possess. Shouldn't the rewards be given to us after we decide on which sect we want to join? Murong Xiao asked when it was time for her and the Murong clan's elder to receive their rewards. That was in the past, Zhangsun Xiongqi said. Starting from the opening of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm this time, the 3 sects and 2 clans will give out rewards first. Then, you'll be allowed to choose one of our forces to join. This is also an order from the profound Nether Mansion. A hint of helplessness could be heard in Zhangsun Xiongqi's voice when he spoke. Although the rewards were given out by the 3 sects and 2 clans, the rewards given by the Zhangsun clan and Gongyang clan were less than half of what the Coupling Celestial Sect, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, and the Simplicity Celestial Sect had to offer. Even so, they were still at a disadvantage. After all, in the past, the outstanding overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials, who survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, would not choose the Zhangsun clan or the Gongyang clan. This was also the shackles of clans. There was a huge difference between clans and sections. He knew this very well in his heart, so he always felt helpless and never felt unwilling or anything like that. If he were an outstanding overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestial, he would not have chosen the Zhangsun clan or the Gongyang clan. I see. Murong Xiao suddenly understood and received the reward at the same time. The Murong family elder beside her also received the reward. Whether it was Murong Xiao or the Murong family elder beside her, after claiming ownership of the storage ring in their hands, their faces were similarly calm and unperturbed. However, none of them were surprised by this. After all, they were members of the Murong clan. The Murong clan was a grade 7 clan. It was comparable to the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. However, since the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan were close to the profound Nether Mansion, they were much more prominent than the Murong clan. Chapter 30-34. I had a feeling something was amiss. As it turns out, they haven't even chosen a sect yet, but they're already being rewarded. Upon hearing Murong Xiao's question, many people who felt something was amiss finally realized what was going on. In the past, after the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm closed, the peak overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials would choose a sect to join first. Then that sect would reward them, and the sect they had recommended. Naturally, only the peak overarching Heavenly Supreme Celestials and the sect they had recommended would be rewarded accordingly. The higher one's ranking was, the more generous the rewards would be. Those who ranked in the top 3 would receive the most generous rewards. However, if one were to compare the rewards, it was only natural that those who ranked in the top 3 would receive lesser rewards than those who ranked in the top 3. After Murong Xiao and the elder from the Murong clan received their rewards, Zhangsun Xiongqi spoke again. Those ranked from the 4th to the 10th place, and the representatives of the sects that recommended them, please come to me. After the rewards were given to the top 3, it was time to give out the rewards to those who ranked in the top 10. After that, the rewards would be given out to those who were ranked in the top 10. The lower one's ranking was, the worse the rewards would be. After all the rewards were given out, Zhangsun Xiongqi's voice rang in the air again. Now, according to the rankings, the top 30, starting from the first place, step forward one by one and choose the organization that you wish to join. Once you've made your choice, you can't change your mind. Therefore, you must consider carefully before making a decision. Zhangsun Xiongqi reminded them before he looked at Ling Jueyun, who was ranked in the first place. Swoosh! Ling Jueyun stepped forward and looked at the 5 leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans. At this moment, a voice transmission sounded in his ears. It was from the 5 leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans. All 5 of them promised to do their best to nurture him, so that he could join the profound nether mansion as soon as possible. I choose. Ling Jueyun spoke calmly under everyone's watchful eyes. Everyone, including the leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans, held their breaths as they looked at him. Cloud Platform Immortal Sect. In the end, Ling Jueyun decided to join the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect. Although most of the disciples in the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect were monks, there were still some lay disciples who did not need to shave their heads, wear kasayas, and abide by the rules. However, the secular disciples of the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect were all geniuses. Only geniuses could become secular disciples of the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect. The secular disciples were a compromise of the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect. In the past, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect did not have secular disciples. In order to join the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, one had to shave one's head, tattoo one's name, and change one's kasaya. The Cloud Platform Immortal Sect welcomes you. Hung Chan had a bright smile on his face. Just now, he had made the biggest promise to this gray-robed young man, who was not even 100 years old, within the scope of his authority. After a while, Ling Jueyun turned around and nodded at the East Ming Kingdom's emperor. Then he flew to Hung Chan's side. Old bald donkey Hung Chan, I could tell from the start that you were determined to win him over. You must have made a huge promise for him, right? Zhang Guangzheng from the Simplicity Celestial Sect said as he looked at Hung Chan with a hint of jealousy. Old Taoist Zhang, as the saying goes, you can't trap a wolf without sacrificing a child. If you don't make a sacrifice, how can you convince him to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect? Hung Chan smiled faintly as he looked at Zhang Guangzheng. A hint of pride could be seen on his face. Zhang Guangzheng didn't pay any attention to Hung Chan. Instead, he turned his attention to the other purple figure that had stepped out of the void. The Simplicity Celestial Sect and the Coupling Celestial Sect. Which one should I choose? After Ling Jueyun had chosen the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, Duan Lingtian had begun to consider this question. Even if he were to step forward now, it would still be difficult for him to make a decision. Although Bihai Mingfeng, the 3rd sect leader of the Coupling Celestial Sect, was powerful and one of the 10 inspectors of the Profound Nether Mansion, it did not mean anything. He could not blindly choose the Coupling Celestial Sect just because of this. Duan Lingtian, if you join the Zhangsun clan, the Zhangsun clan is willing to give you a purely defensive king-grade celestial weapon that has been nurtured by a celestial lord and 3 celestial talismans that will allow you to escape from a doctor. Duan Lingtian was still hesitating when another voice rang in his ears. The person who spoke was none other than Zhangsun Xiongqi from the Zhangsun clan, the person in charge of the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm. This condition sounds good. However, isn't it a little too stingy? Most people might be interested in Zhangsun Xiongqi's words, but Duan Lingtian was not. Duan Lingtian, if you join the Gongyang clan, Zhangsun Xiongqi said through voice transmission. Following Zhangsun Xiongqi's words, Gong Yangyu, the leader of the Gongyang clan, also sent a voice transmission to Duan Lingtian. Although his promise was better than Zhangsun Xiongqi's, it was not much better. Then, Bihai Mingfeng's voice rang in Duan Lingtian's ears. Duan Lingtian, if you join the Coupling Celestial Sect, not only will you be treated like a core disciple in the Coupling Celestial Sect, but I'll also do my best to help you in the Profound Nether Mansion. Compared to Zhangsun Xiongqi and Zhangsun Xiongqi, Bihai Mingfeng's promise was much better. For a moment, Duan Lingtian was tempted. After Bihai Mingfeng finished speaking, Zhang Guangzheng, the vice-sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial Sect, said to Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian, if you join the Simplicity Celestial Sect, you'll be treated like a direct disciple of the sect leader. Moreover, once you join the Profound Nether Mansion, the old ancestor of the Simplicity Celestial Sect one of the 10 inspectors, will take care of you as well. Zhang Guangzheng paused for a moment before he continued to say, apart from that, you can take anything you want from the treasure vault that has been passed down since the Simplicity Celestial Sect was founded. Zhang Guangzheng's tone was slightly heavy when he spoke. It was clear he had gritted his teeth when he spoke. Upon hearing this, Duan Lingtian's heart skipped a beat. Based on his knowledge, the Simplicity Celestial Sect had the longest legacy among the Grade 7 sects in the profound Nether Mansion. Even the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect and the Coupling Celestial Sect could not compare to them. Duan Lingtian was still tempted by Zhang Guangzheng's promise when Heng Chan from the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect called out to him. However, Heng Chan's promise was about the same as Bihai Mingfeng's promise. In fact, it was even slightly inferior. It was far inferior to Zhang Guangzheng's promise. What did the old monk promise you when he asked you to join the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect? Duan Lingtian asked Ling Juyan through voice transmission. After receiving Ling Juyan's reply, Duan Lingtian could not help but curse inwardly. After all, Heng Chan's promise was nothing compared to Ling Juyan's promise. In fact, Heng Chan's promise to Ling Juyan was comparable to Zhang Guangzheng's promise to him. I want to choose 3 treasures from the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault. Duan Lingtian sent a voice transmission to Zhang Guangzheng. If it's possible, I'll join the Simplicity Celestial Sect. However, Zhang Guangzheng did not respond to Duan Lingtian's voice transmission immediately. Duan Lingtian guessed Zhang Guangzheng was probably asking the sect leader of the Simplicity Celestial Sect through a communication celestial talisman. After a while, Zhang Guangzheng replied through voice transmission, 2 treasures at most. If you insist on 3 treasures, I can only say that you're not fated to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect. Upon hearing Zhang Guangzheng's reply, Duan Lingtian knew this was the Simplicity Celestial Sect's bottom line. He nodded and said in a clear voice, I choose the Simplicity Celestial Sect. As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, he walked to Zhang Guangzheng's side. Zhang Guangzheng forced a smile on his face and said, the Simplicity Celestial Sect welcomes you. Bihai Mingfeng's expression turned ugly when he saw Ling Juyan and Duan Lingtian had chosen the Simplicity Celestial Sect and the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect respectively. Old man Zhang, bald donkey Heng Chan, what did you promise them? Bihai Mingfeng asked bluntly. He felt his promise was already generous. However, Ling Juyan and Duan Lingtian were unmoved. Faced with Bihai Mingfeng's question, Zhang Guangzheng and Heng Chan only smiled at him and remained silent. Bihai Mingfeng shifted his attention to Duan Lingtian, who was standing next to Zhang Guangzheng, and said through voice transmission, tell me what old man Zhang promised you. I'll give you 3 shadow void escaping talismans. 10. Duan Lingtian glanced at Bihai Mingfeng and replied through voice transmission. The shadow void escaping talisman was not even a rare treasure to the 3rd sect leader of the Coupling Celestial Sect. For this reason, Duan Lingtian did not hold back at all. Brat, you're asking for too much. However, I like it. Fine. 10 talismans it is. Bihai Mingfeng agreed without hesitation. When Bihai Mingfeng heard Duan Lingtian's words, the corner of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. It was one thing for him to be treated like a direct disciple of the sect leader of the Coupling Celestial Sect. It was another thing for him to be treated well by the Simplicity Celestial Sect's inspector in the profound Nether Mansion. He could choose 2 items from the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault. Bihai Mingfeng felt that even he was a little tempted by this condition. After all, the Simplicity Celestial Sect's treasure vault had a long history. It was even longer than the profound Nether Mansion. Moreover, it was said that even an ordinary celestial lord would not be able to break through the defensive formation in the treasure vault. After learning about Zhang Guangzheng's promise to Duan Lingtian, Bihai Mingfeng could only admit defeat. He felt his loss was justified. Bihai Mingfeng turned to look at Ling Juyan, intending to ask Ling Juyan about the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect's promise to him. Give me another 10 shadow void escaping talismans, and I'll tell you about the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect's promise to him. Duan Lingtian's voice rang in Bihai Mingfeng's ears, causing the corner of Bihai Mingfeng's mouth to twitch. Chapter 30-35. Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Duan Lingtian before he shifted his gaze to Ling Jueyan. Upon seeing this, Duan Lingtian sent a voice transmission again. It's useless. As long as I ask, he won't tell you what the cloud platform celestial sect promised him. After saying this, Duan Lingtian turned to Ling Jueyan and said, If Bihai Mingfeng, the third sect leader of the coupling celestial sect, asks you what the cloud platform celestial sect promised you, don't tell him. Tell him to ask me. Ling Jueyan was slightly puzzled when he heard Bihai Mingfeng's voice transmission. He replied to Duan Lingtian through voice transmission. He asked me. All right, tell him to ask me. Duan Lingtian replied. To Ling Jueyan, this was only a small matter. Moreover, Huang had already acknowledged Duan Lingtian as her master. Naturally, he would not disobey Duan Lingtian. You can ask Duan Lingtian. He knows. Although Bihai Mingfeng was strong, Ling Jueyan was not someone to be trifled with. Since he came from the divine offering land, he had seen many powerhouses who were stronger than 10 directions celestial emperors. Why would he be afraid of a mere celestial king? Upon hearing Ling Jueyan's reply, the corner of Bihai Mingfeng's mouth twitched. Then, he shifted his gaze to Duan Lingtian and said through voice transmission, Lad, I didn't expect you to have some tricks up your sleeve. You actually managed to get him to cooperate with you. Thank you for the compliment, sect leader Bihai. Duan Lingtian replied through voice transmission. Same old rules, 10 shadow void escaping talismans. Bihai Mingfeng felt slightly helpless. He had dominated the profound nether mansion for many years, but this was the first time he felt so powerless in front of a junior. However, it was not appropriate for him to bully the junior in this situation. Speak. Bihai Mingfeng said grumpily. After listening to Duan Lingtian's voice transmission, Bihai Mingfeng glanced at Hung Chan from the cloud platform, celestial sect meaningfully. I didn't expect the bald donkey Hung Chan to be so straightforward. The things that Hung Chan had promised to Ling Jueyan were not inferior to the things that Zhang Guangzheng had promised to Duan Lingtian. I'm still inexperienced. If I had known earlier, I would have spilled some blood. Anyway, the blood isn't mine. Bihai Mingfeng was a little regretful. It was his first time coming to such an event, and it was completely on a whim. He had no experience at all, so he couldn't compete with Hung Chan and Zhang Guangzheng. This Morong Xiao, I must have her. Just as Bihai Mingfeng was about to send a voice transmission to Morong Xiao after sorting out his thoughts, Morong Xiao opened her mouth and spoke. I choose the Gongyang family. As soon as Morong Xiao appeared, she decisively chose the Gongyang family. At this moment, let alone Bihai Mingfen, even Zhang Guangzheng and Zhangsun Xiongqi from the Zhangsun clan did not manage to send voice transmissions in time. As for Hung Chan from the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, he did not intend to use voice transmission, since the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect was a Buddhist holy land that did not accept female disciples. Even if Morong Xiao was ranked first, the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect would not accept her, let alone the fact that she was only ranked third. The Cloud Platform Immortal Sect was willing to accept secular disciples as their greatest compromise. Female disciples? There was no way the Cloud Platform Immortal Sect would accept them. Gong Yangyu, you sure are fast. Zhangsun Xiongqi looked at Gong Yangyu and said in a puzzled tone. He was even more puzzled as to why Morong Xiao would choose Gongyang family. Not to mention that the Gongyang family was the same as their Zhangsun family. It was impossible for them to pay too much for Morong Xiao to join. The limitations of the family were enough to make Morong Xiao shrink back. Most importantly, Morong Xiao was also a member of a rank 7 family. She knew that it would be more comfortable for him to stay in the Morong family than it would be for her to stay in the Morong family. I didn't promise Miss Morong anything, Gong Yangyu said with a smile. You didn't promise anything? Who would believe that? If you didn't promise her anything, why would she choose the Gongyang family? Zhangsun Xiongqi asked skeptically. Elder Zhangsun, I'm afraid you don't know this. The Gongyang family and the Morong family are going to have a marriage alliance. The third young master of the Gongyang family is going to marry the fourth young miss of the Morong family. Gong Yongyu continued to say with a smile. Upon hearing this, not only was Zhang Sun Xiongqi stunned, but even Zhang Guangzheng and Heng Chan were stunned as well. As far as I know, the Morong family's fourth young miss and Morong Xiao Xiao share the same mother. The third young master of the Gongyang family is basically confirmed to be the future leader of the Gongyang family. Bihai Mingfeng narrowed his eyes as he spoke. He was no longer surprised that Morong Xiao Xiao had chosen the Gongyang family. If there were no accidents, Morong Xiao Xiao's sister would become the matriarch of the Gongyang family in the future. Morong Xiao Xiao joining the Gongyang family was not only to do the Gongyang family a favor, but it was also to pave the way for her sister. This little girl isn't simple at all. Bihai Mingfeng thought to himself as he stared deeply at Morong Xiao Xiao, who was standing beside Gong Yongyu and descending from the sky. After Morong Xiao Xiao, the people who were ranked at the top of the scoreboard entered the arena one after another. Perhaps Bihai Mingfeng did not manage to recruit anyone from the top 3 on the scoreboard, so he went all out and recruited almost half of the people in the top 30 to join the coupling celestial sect. Among the 7 people in the top 10, he had recruited 5 of them. Sect leader Bihai. The coupling celestial sect has reaped a great harvest this time, Zhang Guangzheng said with a smile as he looked at Bihai Mingfeng. Old Zhang, a straightforward person doesn't resort to insinuations. I'll give you the 5 people in the top 10, and you'll give me Duan Lingtian. What do you think? Bihai Mingfeng said through voice transmission. Naturally, he had spoken through voice transmission since the 5 people in the top 10 were standing next to him. If he said this out loud, the 5 people in the top 10 would be displeased. For this reason, Bihai Mingfeng replied to Zhang Guangzheng through voice transmission to avoid any conflict between the 5 people in the top 10 and the coupling celestial sect. Naturally, this was also because he was certain Zhang Guangzheng would not agree to it. If he was certain Zhang Guangzheng would agree to it, he would not have spoken through voice transmission. Just as Bihai Mingfeng had expected, Zhang Guangzheng merely smiled and did not respond to Bihai Mingfeng's voice transmission. As time passed, the group of people who had survived the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm chose to join one of the 3 sects and 2 clans. Most of them chose to join the Simplicity Celestial Sect, the Cloud Platform Celestial Sect, and the Coupling Celestial Sect. Very few people chose to join the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. In the end, less than half of those who chose to join the Coupling Celestial Sect had chosen to join the Zhangsun clan and the Gongyang clan. I'll give you an hour. After an hour, you'll leave with us. Zhang Sun Xiongqi said in a loud voice to the group of peak overarching heavenly supreme celestials who had chosen to join the 3 sects and 2 clans. Many people began to bid farewell to their elders. Brother Duan, why didn't you join the Coupling Celestial Sect? It's said that the Coupling Celestial Sect has mountains, rivers, and beautiful women. It's said that half of the disciples in the Coupling Celestial Sect are female. Not to mention, they have a large number of cauldrons as well. Huang Jialong said to Duan Lingtian, through voice transmission. He found it difficult to accept the fact that Duan Lingtian did not choose to join the Coupling Celestial Sect. He knew in his heart that after this separation, it would not be as easy as before for them to meet again in the future. Just do your best. Isn't it the same if we meet in the profound nether mansion? Duan Lingtian said with a smile. After all, the elites from the 3 sects and 2 clans would have a chance to join the profound nether mansion. Once they joined the profound nether mansion, they would be able to compete with the elites from the various celestial mansions in the Southern Heaven territory. After that, he would be able to come into contact with the 10 great clans of the Southern Heaven territory and the few top sects of the Southern Heaven territory. Although Huang Jialong was frustrated, he knew what was done could not be undone. He could only accept reality. Nevertheless, he was determined to join the profound nether mansion no matter what. He knew with Duan Lingtian's innate talent and comprehension ability, it would be easy for him to join the profound nether mansion. However, it would be difficult for him to join the profound nether mansion. There were many people with high innate talent and comprehension ability in the 3 sects and 2 clans. However, very few of them would be able to join the profound nether mansion. Be nice to my sister Huang otherwise I won't let you go. Duan Lingtian heard Ling Juyan's threatening voice transmission when he saw Ling Juyan looking at him. That depends on whether she's obedient or not, Duan Lingtian said mockingly through voice transmission. In the next moment, he saw Ling Juyan's eyes burning with anger. It was as though he could not wait to fight Duan Lingtian. I don't think we'll have a chance to fight now. Why don't we fight when we're in the profound nether mansion? Duan Lingtian said through voice transmission. Previously, he had learned from the Chaos Divine Earth that Ling Juyan did not compete with him for the best stone platform to comprehend the law of time in the Celestial Lord Temple, in the lower realm of the Southern Heaven Ancient Realm, despite his extraordinary strength. Naturally, Ling Juyan did not compete with him, because he was afraid Duan Lingtian would seek revenge on Huang. After learning about Ling Juyan's strength from the Chaos Divine Earth, Duan Lingtian was eager to have a fight with Ling Juyan. He wanted to see if Ling Juyan's 2 profundities from the Law of Death was more powerful than his 1 profundity from the Law of Earth and the Chaos Divine Earth's help. I'll fight you to the end, Ling Juyan replied with a hint of battle intent in his voice. In just a blink of an eye, an hour had passed. At this moment, Bihai Mingfeng, Zhang Guangzheng, Heng Chan, Zhang Sunxiongqi, and Gong Yangyu, the leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans, left the central area of the Scaling Cloud Lake with their people. During this process, the 5 leaders of the 3 sects and 2 clans said goodbye to each other before taking their leave. The Simplicity Celestial sect was located in a different direction from the other 2 sects and 2 clans. For this reason, Zhang Guangzheng led Duan Lingtian and the others in a different direction. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.